the most prestigious competitive event in the ALGS calendar. I'm Jumba, this is the ALGS Rundown, and let's break down the qualification methods our teams are striving for to book their tickets to Saporro. All of the best Apex teams in the world will be fighting for their share of the $2 million prize pool and the chance to lift the championship trophy in Sapporo, Japan. But how do teams make it there? Throughout the ALGS calendar year, our teams have earned championship points based on their placements in Pro League, the ALGS Open, and the mid-season playoffs. The top 24 teams on the global championship point leaderboard will automatically qualify for the ALGS Championship in Japan at the end of the Split 2 Pro League. LANs earn you the most points. So top performing teams like Team Falcons, the winners of the ALGS Open, and BK Gaming, the winners of the ALGS mid-season playoffs, have earned thousands of points, putting them at the top of the championship point leaderboards. Other top performers like Alliance, Gen G, Ninjas in Pajamas, who have been consistent throughout the year, both in Pro League and at LAN, have all but locked their spots in for Japan as well. Further down the leaderboard, teams like TSM, Virtus Pro, Noah's Fox will be fighting for their position on the championship point leaderboard. They will be looking to secure enough points to remain in the top 24 and lock in their ticket for Sapporo. Anyone that wins their region's Split 2 Pro League will book their ticket to Japan. With 4 regions, each having their own Pro League, there will be 1 slot per region up for grabs for placing first. So consistency is key if you want to secure your spot for champs. The next method is regional finals. The winners of each regional final, regardless of their final placement in Pro League standings, will also lock in a spot for Sapporo. The regional final will utilize the match point format, so you'll have to be locked in and aim for that big win if you want to secure your spot. Killer Instinct on match point proves that you belong on that main stage. With everything on the line, who will step up and secure their spot? Who will prove they deserve to play on the biggest stage of the year? In a scenario where the winner of either Pro League or the regional finals overlaps, or has already qualified for the championship via championship points, such as Team Falcons, then the next available team on the championship points leaderboard will join us in Sapporo. With our 4 Pro League winners and 4 regional final winners, we will have 32 of our 40 championship teams locked in at the end of Split 2. This means 8 spots now remain. As we enter into our last chance qualifiers, which will have 2 spots per region up for grabs. The LCQ for each region will feature all of the remaining Split 2 Pro League teams that have not yet qualified for the championship, as well as at least 10 of the top performing Challenger Circuit teams, totaling 40 teams. These 40 teams will compete in a double elimination bracket, culminating in a match point finals lobby where the top 2 placing teams will earn the final spots in Sapporo. Once again, you'll have to be playing at your best and be able to perform under that pressure if you want to make it to Japan and have your chance to lift that ALGS championship trophy. With that, you now know all the ways our ALGS teams can earn their way to the ALGS championship in year 5 and have their shot at securing their legacy. What teams do you hope to see to make it to the ALGS in Japan? Let us know down in the comments. You can catch all of the action taking place in Sapporo, Japan from January 15th to 18th on Play Apex at Twitch or Play Apex Esports on YouTube. Witness the 40 best teams in the world battle it out for their share of the $2 million prize pool and the title of the greatest team in the world. You can also visit algs.ea.com to keep up with the championship point leaderboards and the Split 2 Pro League standings. This has been the ALGS Rundown with me, Jumba. Thank you all for watching, and we look forward to seeing you all for the Split 2 Pro League.
They get absolutely destroyed.
Whistler connect. There's only one member left inside those. They don't know it. It is here. BK Gaming.
Nice.
And it's a 1v1. Sorcerer. Shield swap. Is it enough? Alliance.
And welcome back to the Apex Legends Global Series. We're back for another weekend jam-packed full of Apex Legends action, and things are really starting to heat up in Split 2. Now today is match day 4 for EMEA, which also means we are headed into the second round of our round robin. So that means it's going to be a really exciting time. It's time to see which teams are ready to bring it. My name is Glitter Explosion, and I will be your host here all weekend long. And of course, I can't do this alone. I've got to bring in some of my favorite people. You're looking great, fabulous, ready to go. Dia, Same groups this time around. You ready to dive back into it?
I am. It's like we never left, and it's like these teams never stopped playing. Although in between the time when we were first on broadcast and now, I've done a lot of math, and I'm surprised that I'm still holding it together enough to even be here with you right now.
I'm excited that you're good and ready to go for today. Graceful, are you excited as well? I mean, you look like you are chomping at the bit here to get into EMEA.
I mean, I'm always ready for some very good Apex level, and seeing more PK Sing and more Peter 2 taps, it's gonna be fun. But you know, I'm looking forward. I saw the next patch notes for the further in the future. This might be, you know, I hope we get a little bit less of what we're seeing now, because as me as a gamer getting 2 tapped all the time or 2 tapping people, a little bit rough.
Well, there's so much stuff that we're gonna end up talking about throughout the rest of the split. Before we even get to that, though, we saw so many interesting stats and storylines coming out of last weekend. And in my opinion, they kind of all fell under the umbrella of adapting to survive, whether that was the new legend comps that we saw across all of our regions. I mean, more Rampart. Hello, Diaz, excited about that. Or all of our teams starting to take statistically more ring damage. Are they starting to play edge? Either way, it's all about figuring out any way to find success. So let's take a look back at our match day 3 highlights to remind everybody at home exactly what went down, because Graceful, last time around, it was NVMI who had really figured it all out.
It was indeed. For people that missed out, you know, like I said, the PK action, we will see that throughout all of these clips, a lot of action from these teams. However, we can't downplay the level of team play that we have seen as well from these people being able to play space so properly, especially right here, Kazak from NVMI, making sure that he's just staying, putting them off essentially from each other here. You cannot split, and when you get split, you get punished. Right there, it was just a jump on one person, but match 3 here, however, Elonzi making a play from cybercats, as we have seen in previous matches as well, or match days as well. They have been phenomenal. cybercats, especially Ranches, a special person to me individually, because I have been competing against him for years, always showing up with his PK and his shots on point, as we also see Empire Gaming right here, Arctic. Phenomenal player that had a bloom up recently throughout the years, but now very top player in my opinion.
Yeah, I feel like you always have a little bit of a personal connection, Graceful, when we're talking specifically about EMEA, because you know these players on a totally different level. But as we continued to move throughout the day, the one thing that we are always talking about as casters and just kind of when it comes to breaking these things down and how our teams can win, it's about that consistency. And while we got a couple different winners throughout the day, the only team that was able to do it multiple times was NVMI. And if we're talking about NVMI, they podiumed 4 out of the 6 matches on the day. They were in top 10 5 out of the 6. They really only had 1 bad game. So while it was SJP2 who were able to take home match number 5, once again, as we close out the day, it was NVMI to get a little bit of a win there at the end with 10 KP to match, which was also the same amount of KP they had in their first win of the day. And it all goes back to, are you able to not only get those points that put you at match point, but in the end, clutch up a win? And you can see that NVMI in 80 points had done that, but we're looking at this top 5, and it's impressive to see what these teams were able to do on match day 3 specifically. A little bit of love going the way of NVMI. So now that we've got a little bit of a recap, though, what are these teams playing for, right? This is something that we talked about at the very beginning of the split, and something we're going to keep talking about because it gets more and more important as all of these days go on. It's champs, okay? It is our champs check-in. Obviously, all of our teams are fighting to be playing on stage in Sapporo, Japan. And if we were to end it right now, in this moment, this would be our top 40. We're obviously not there yet, Graceful, but you know a little bit about what this life is like, having to play for those points. So talk to me about these champ standings.
I mean, it is definitely one thing that we can't forget when we're talking about competitive Apex. The one and the true, like the true being essentially is champs, which everybody is fighting for. Current top 40 right now is not what it's going to end up being in the end, as we head into the teams that might be smooth sailing straight into champs comparatively are these teams. Never mind the points overall, it is something to keep track of for sure, but what typically, to make it a little bit more easier for you guys at home to understand, is that you normally look at where do we need to place in this current competition, whether that be in Pro League, whether that be in regional finals, whether that be in LCQ. These teams have an easier time to make it into champs, and if they keep the same pace that they have before or currently, they will make it there. However, on the flip side of smooth sailing here, we got a little bit of the teams in the rough waters. There's definitely way more teams than just these ones specifically, because it's, you know, across all the regions. A lot of the teams, anybody that's beneath 35, I would say, in the current top 40, so beneath 35 and all the teams below, you gotta make regional finals, and you have to win regional finals, or you gotta make top 2 in LCQ, both which are very hard to do. But at the end of the day, you know, it's hard to do, but these teams are here for a reason. Anybody could have a pop-off moment, especially in LCQ, where if you just make it that, you know, you make it happen, you could be on stage in champs like we was last year.
Yeah. Absolutely. And that's why, you know, we're going to be tracking that throughout the rest of Split 2, kind of keeping everybody on top of where all of these teams are shaking out. Because like you said, Graceful, you'd ideally like to go for the shortest and quickest path into champs, which is getting that win and solidifying it, not having to deal with those champs points. But there's a big group of squads that are going to be crunching some numbers towards the end of this split. Now, we've done quite a lot of recapping here today so far, but we were talking about our storylines. Let's boil it down to a more focused analysis, okay? Because we did say the theme was adapting to survive. And Dia, I know that you've been thinking about this a lot since last week. So tell me a little bit about the team that you feel like did just that.
Yeah, and a team that I say you can look forward to watching today, it's FaZe. FaZe, well, kind of a weird name to throw out there, not because they haven't been doing well, but because they haven't been placing at the very top of the leaderboard. They've placed 7th in both of their match days, just squeaking into top 10. But the fact that they've been able to do that consistently, and actually in a game like this, match number 1 on World's Edge during day 3, place in top 2 as a duo, speaks to some incredible potential that this team has if they are able to polish some of the issues that have them exiting lobbies early. Because when you see FaZe get into endgame, they are really deadly. Their comms are good, their adaptation is good, and I want to take a look at how that sounds in game.
Behind is like, I'm trying to be grand to see what it's like. Behind is so bad. Behind is like, don't worry. Really okay, come my side, come my side. We need to kill side. Yes. Do. I'm in ping.
So good, that's so good. Like, get all the kills, guys.
They broke it. No, play me.
You can play on Citadel, that's insane.
Play me. Yep. We need to climb one more. Either side. They're gonna queue out. They're gonna fucking them. We need to aggro on this. Throw barrel. Flag on this. Play saw.
Nice. Last guy. You get top 2 from this, guys.
Top 2.
Nice. Last team. 80 on 1. You win this.
That's the best match.
FaZe are one of the most consistent teams in the league. Right here, we've got everybody from Group A and the way that they've placed and how, well, consistent it's been. Say for Alliance, match day number 1, they place 5th. Their next match day, they place 1st. It's a small difference, and granted, one in their favor. FaZe, however, mirroring their placements exactly. We've got teams like ZiPLina, Mafia, who have also stayed really consistent, even gaining 2 placements, ONIC and SJP2, who are around that mark. But then looking over at Group B, we've got another team that I just invite you to keep your eyes on, because while I'm talking about FaZe, we gotta be wondering what Empire is gonna show up today. 14 placement difference in between their first and their second match day is a huge one, Glitter, and I'll be honest with you, I don't know what Empire is showing up today.
I mean, sometimes we see a little bit of a yo-yo, but that is definitely a big yo-yo. I mean, and that's kind of the beauty of these splits, right? They get the first kind of round robin to figure things out. Maybe they do a little bit better. Now we're back at it again. You're in a lobby this time around where you didn't do so well. Are you able to kind of improve on that performance? I'm excited to see what they're able to do, but that's not the only team. Those are not the only teams we have participating here today. Like we've mentioned a couple times, it is groups A and B ready to go here today. So we'll take a look at these squads because we have big names. You mentioned them yourself, T. We've got Alliance in here. We've got FaZe Clan in here. 07 is in here. We've got a lot of squads that did well. Citadel Gaming did well last time around when these 2 groups faced off. But another squad that I want to specifically talk about and highlight for just a second here is cybercats. Okay, we see them. We've got Alonzi, Branches, and SS11, the newcomer in SS11. SS11, technically the ALGS debut in our match day 1 from coming up from that challenger circuit. But cybercats specifically, the reason we were so impressed with them on that first day out of the gate was because of, yet again, their consistency. They were the team that placed outside of top 4 only 1 time out of 6 matches. That's an insane performance. It was all about their placements, and they did get some kills along the way. It wasn't like a crazy slay heavy performance, but they still did well. And then on the polar opposite side of things, we see them in match day 3. They were only in that top 4 1 time out of the 6 matches. The biggest difference being that World's Edge was added into the mix and ended up being their worst map out of all of these 3. The question for me is, once again, this is a little bit of yo-yo. Who are we getting this time around? Are we getting this match day 1 cybercats that comes out the gate with a first place win and ends up being 2 points above a squad that ended up with, I think, almost 40 kills in Citadel Gaming? Or do we get the match day 3 cybercats? Okay, I'm hoping it is the former because they played so well match day 1, but specifically in EMEA, seeing them perform well. This is something that triggered more math for Dia, because I know you did some interesting number crunching, Dia, and you actually came up with a really cool stat about Eastern Europe.
Yeah, I'm going to throw this out here, guys. This is a little weird that we picked up on this, but I was just staring at the top 10 and going, something isn't common here. Something isn't common here. My pattern-seeking brain found that there are just a bunch of Eastern European players up here. SJP2 and cybercats, like super notably, are basically all Eastern European. We've, of course, got UAIM up here as well. 93 of the players in the league are Eastern European. It's about 23% of the league. 83% of all Eastern European players in the league are in top 10. And to throw the big number at you, 19 out of the 30 players in top 10, which is almost 66% of all players who are placing top 10 in EMEA right now, are from Eastern Europe. I don't know what we're supposed to do with that information, but as soon as I found it, I was like, I gotta start telling people about this, because somebody's gonna know what to do with this information. Somebody's gonna form a super team.
Ooh, I see. Oh, I see what you're doing here. You're starting to give the coaches and the analysts a little bit of something to think about here, heading throughout the rest of the split. We know how those roster changes work. Okay, it's always a little bit crazy. I love it, Dia. I love it for the additional statistics here. So thank you so much for enlightening everybody a little bit. But we talked about a lot of teams so far here today, and before we get into our match day, you want to know how to watch all of it? Obviously, we have a way to do that, whether it's everybody at home deciding you guys want to follow your favorite players or teams, or you want to also be following along with the main broadcast, even the map stream, to see how these rotations are doing. You can do all of that here on Face It Watch. You can do it on mobile. You can collect your drops. There are so many cool things that you can do on Face It Watch, and it is the #1 way to watch the ALGS your way. Go create an account if you haven't done so already. All you have to do is head on over to faceit.com/watch, and that way you can have it all right under your thumb, ready to go the way you want to. Also, if you guys haven't done so already, we're going to keep reminding you, make sure you're following us on social media. That way, if you ever miss a match day or you want to keep up with things outside of the ALGS, we have exactly the way to do that, whether that is Twitch, YouTube, our new TikTok, and Insta. Those are the big ones. Make sure you're checking those out, of course, or it is watching us live right now. As long as you're following along on any of our social medias, you won't miss a single second of our ALGS action. So hopefully you guys at home are ready to do that. And, you know, maybe there's some free stuff eventually on those. Just saying, just be on there. You won't miss it. All right. Now, ready to get into match #1 here in just a few minutes. Are you ready, Dia? Are you excited? Any expectations for the day now that we broke a lot of stuff down, but also literally it's the same group as that we saw at match day 1?
I think to keep myself and the audience focused, I'm really looking at FaZe. That's the team that I am going to be really dialing in on in our first couple of matches, especially because we are going for today, World's Edge and Stormpoint, two maps that I know that a lot of teams have experience on, but again, especially FaZe, thinking back to their days when they entered the scene as Made in Heaven, and they've made a lot of changes since then, but World's Edge, Stormpoint should be really academically studied maps. Like you're talking about, there are so many teams that I think we could discuss today, Glitter, and it's up to those squads that we haven't yet spoken about in the pre-show to make their mark on today.
Absolutely. And that's something we haven't even really highlighted yet, Graceful. While match day 4 out of 10 sounds relatively early, when we have these doubleheader weekends, we get through the split pretty quickly, and the players and teams only have so much time to make those adaptations and, you know, kind of set themselves up well for success. And this is kind of the point where the middle of the season is where you have to start making that push.
Oh, most definitely. When you're in the middle of the season now, like before the first couple of match days, you had your chance to warm up and feel out the lobby, essentially. Like, how do these groups play out specifically towards our teams? Their macro versus ours, and can we adapt? Now you're on round 2 again. Can we make those adaptations that we talked about earlier? Can we make it happen, make a splash? Because if not, it's going to be do or die once again, and you never want to get to that scenario. You want to make sure you always stay consistent and at least get some points on the leaderboard. But it definitely goes to show to see if people can adapt, because not only will they have to adapt now of having past experience against each other, you know, next week it's going to be completely different. You know, we got future patches coming up as well, and we have so many things you have to adapt to. Never mind the fact that people also changes comps every now and then. You know, people learn from other regions. They saw, oh, ramp is a little bit more prevalent in NA. Maybe some teams on EU will start pulling that up ahead, and that will change things how teams play up as well. And all of this ever changing is what makes Apex so great, and seeing that every game is never the like or never the same always makes me happy. I'm just happy to see all the gameplay.
Yeah, and I mean, Dia, you were, you know, talking about the teams that we didn't mention that need to step up to the plate, and one factor of that, as well as kind of the alliance effect. You called out in those standings how they were able to put themselves back into a top spot, a little bit of a slower start in match day 1. But those top teams in general in the regions, when they point sponge, it makes those opportunities for the teams in the middle, on the bubble, towards the bottom, even harder, and they need to seize them when they can.
That triggered something in me. I'm like, where's my stat? Where's my stat? So, just a fun thing, because we're talking about point sponging. In last split, during split 1, 29% of all points were held by the top 5, with 40% of, or 45% of all points held by top 10. Split 2, again, it is only first round robin, but it's worth noting that 31%, so an increase of about 2% of our points are held by our top 5, and 55%, an increase of 7% of points are held by top 10, which is, if you didn't want to keep track of all those numbers, just means that the league is a little bit more top heavy right now than it was at the finish of split 1. And I think it's a really interesting point that you make there, Glitter, about Alliance and their ability to do that. They're not the only ones that are, when winning, taking the lead and just snowballing it.
Yeah, there's definitely, I think it'll be a really interesting day here today as we get our players loaded into the lobby here in just a few short minutes, folks. Thanks for hanging with us. But while we're waiting for the lobby to be ready to dive into, I mentioned it just a few minutes ago, our social media, specifically our 2 newest social medias, our Insta and our TikTok. They have been putting out some really fun content. If you haven't followed over there, you obviously should. But if you're wondering what I'm talking about with interesting content, let's take a quick look at what we've got.
He's jumping over you. Cracked him. 1 HP, 1 HP, 1 HP. Ash, look out, Ash.
Dead. Nice. Literally 1 HP, literally 1 HP.
Okay.
Literally 1 HP in the corner.
Dead.
First team.
Dead.
TP roof. Ash dead.
Crypto 1, bottom. Dead. Crypto 1 height. 2 guys 1. 1 HP up top.
Peek inside, okay, peek inside.
I'm picking up back.
That's
play up. Nice.
Yep, all dead. One last. One. Behind. I'm dead.
QQ. Come to me closer. No Q. 3 seconds. 2 seconds.
Play behind knock.
1, come to me.
I crack both of them.
Behind us, okay? Maybe swing behind us, okay?
Keep pulling.
We're good. He's one.
Get back. Next us.
That guy's 1.
24.
One on top.
Come top up, I think, baby.
As soon as you go.
Give me 70.
Give me.
Half 12.
Half 70. Cut. Go.
Play up a little bit. 61.
Nice, baby. Type stop, baby.
Go, boys.
Banger game.
On everybody. Boys.
Go. Wait.
Be a win on the day.
How many you have? Wait, we might back to one. We're Dude, stop. Me.
This guy.
Yeah, move it once more. Rails on the right.
Get my kill, please. Get my kill.
Look right. Look right.
Okay. Here.
Hunter, you're in zone. I queued out.
Come to my heady and shielded them.
51.
Killed one, they all died. Slow on
Right in front of us. Dead.
walls.
After one.
I think we have to queue here. We gotta kill these guys, okay? I'm
Okay,
EMPing
I'm
and we have to kill them.
queuing. Queued again. I double queued. I'm full sending.
I'm gonna shoot at them.
I'm gonna throw dead. One is scraper.
Trying to bat.
130.
60.
I'm batting.
Crack one. Crack one.
What's dead? Last guy. On me. Dead.
Pressing.
I'm not jumping swap.
Okay.
They're fighting.
Alright. I literally don't know if I
There's
can.
only one other full 3 man.
There's one team on height.
They res.
I jumped the
Make it.
I jumped the
Ultic cell.
I killed one on height.
Popping. I'm popping. Everyone play slow.
Top 3. Underneath. Okay.
What's not spotted by? It's a double knock into fresh res. Double knock into fresh res.
I'm multi-selling. Just play space and
Bottom
kill
left.
them.
Down one.
Good. I'm gonna ulti-sell, okay? I have drone. Top 2. I'm gonna
Last team with fresh res. 21 dead. Dead. I'm gonna get it through. One. On me. My God! Let's go! Holy
I just shot with a massive mastiff.
絶対ボイニングで帰るだけじゃない？待って
死んだ俺。ナイスラスト。残りよ。ナイス。マジでファイトしてる。
これアップする。
いいよいいよ。
これ終わったから。取り切った方がいい。取り切った方がいい。2回する。振り切る。全員割れてる。絶対全員割れてる。ピクショー1枚やった。足役、おみ足役。やった。ラスト。
外割れてる。
取り切ろ。やった。ゆっくり。
右スイングしよう。
いや、行く。ナイスだ。ロード俺。ナイス。当たんないけど、もう任せろよ。
I mean, not only will there be highlights from each day of our split, but of course, every time we go to LAN, we get a little bit of additional content as well, whether that's talking to the players, getting to see their personalities a little bit more, or cool POVs like that when it comes to some really clutch moments. So make sure you're following along with us all on social media. But guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us while we get it all ready to go, because match number 1 is ready to go. So Dia, Graceful, let's get into EMEA.
Yeah, the start of the second round robin. Graceful. A lot is on the line here, especially as you highlighted in our pre-show, the chance for making it 2 champs, especially if you had a tough first round robin. I mean, this is the time that you need to pull it together, and it does feel so early in the season. We are going to be starting on World's Edge. So what better place to start to pull your season together than the map that you are most familiar with? I'm just going to say, if you've played Apex Legends for over 2 years, World's Edge is basically your house.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. The map that everybody love and hate at the same time. We've had so many iterations of it, but it's also one of the maps where most teams are the most confident on. However, some teams were also like lacking a little bit in that department comparatively to playing on other maps like E District and Stormpoint. Will we see the showcase again of cybercats maybe having a slower start on this map? We'll have to see, because when you play, if we just take a look at the PY drafting real quick right there, cybercats in the middle by no name or village. You can call it whatever you want to, east side of even a frag as well, where some teams that early rotate tend to struggle, and sometimes the struggle isn't dependent on just being having bad coordination as a team, because sometimes it just comes down to where the zone is at. Sometimes your team is just not good at playing specific zones out the way they are, or the way other teams are playing them affects you very heavily so that you can't perform as well as you are. This mainly affects center zone rotators very early because they are the ones who try to play the zone the same way, but if all the teams around them are starting to play differently, I think a good example actually is from America. People were talking about Falcons having rough start, correct? And the main reason was they played too aggressive the first time and then maybe too defensive the second time because the lobby is ever changing. Teams are adapting all the time. Teams are playing differently. Even though we have the same macro as in, oh, this zone is currently pulling towards the center side of the map, they might play it very differently depending on not only which comp they're playing, because when is the map being played out, you know, due to map rotation and also legend bans, everything is different all the time.
Yeah, I mean, and one of the teams that we did highlight at the start of the show is being able to keep their calm in the storm of this constantly changing meta, picks, whatever it may be, is FaZe. And they're going to be starting down here in stacks with Newcastle, Alter, and Caustic. A composition that should give them a lot of staying power if they are able to get into zone early. And this is where I want to start thinking about who's actually got the capability to do that as well, because FaZe, they did end up getting a ring console early on. A team like Nom out of Big Mod, however, did not get nearly that lucky and are going to have to guess a little bit more as to where the zone is, since they don't have easy access to this kind of information.
Yeah, most definitely. A lot of these teams will be trying to opt to see where the zone is. If they don't have any knowledge, they will play it a little bit slower. Play for mid-speed is what I like to call it. However, with this zone specifically, even on Circle 1 without Zone 2 knowledge, a lot of these teams have several spots that are very adaptable. You don't want to lock yourself into an all-in, because if you lock yourself into Lava Siphon, if it pulls up like it potentially does here towards Frag Monument, well, now you're stuck in chokes. So you want to make sure you have these rotational positionings, as we also see Sane playing on top of the building with the charge rifle. Very oppressive weapon for the moment. Hits very hard. Actually one-shots white armor in the head. 86 right there for the big crack. I think that teams are looking likely to just stack up, rotate early, but never full commit for the moment, because like you said, when you're playing Alter, are you really locked into a location? You can go through everything.
I want to throw out there really quickly that this was a big kill against SPS. We'll take a moment, see what Take Flyte are able to do, as again, this is one of our teams that has rotated early into what they believe to be center zone. Looking for the abduct. Take Flyte are not going to find it, but we got to talk about this kill that FaZe managed to find, because against SPS, remember, SPS landing over at Dome do not have a ring console. So now, not only have they lost one, they still don't know where the ring is going, and their macro is going to be thrown completely out of whack. This is what you talked about at the start of the game, Graceful. Sometimes things just don't favor you, and in this particular case, may not be favoring 07, as Legion have taken the lead in the fight up against them, backing off real quickly. Legion will be moving into Harvester using the Void Nexus, and right now, only Sampe is going to make it, having made a very quick turnaround. 07 take control, but it's SJP2 that from afar with the charge rifle contributing to making that fight a little more topsy-turvy.
That charge rifle is scary indeed, but as they almost went down fully there, Legion Gaming, one of the players from Legion Gaming, like you said, Samp is one of the players I've been looking at individually. Very happy to see him, but not the results that we wanted to see early into the game one. 07 holding their slot in that choke very well, as SJP2 currently looking to poke a little bit. And this zone is what I was talking about as well. The zone ends up pulling towards Monument side and Frag, a little bit further up even potentially, against Icicles, maybe the hill on this northeast side even. When you have zones like this, you never want to full commit southern side, as we see Empire Gaming, FaZe Clan. SPS, like you said earlier, plays edge. They don't need ring console, they can just reset. But on edge lurks other strong teams, the likes of Alliance right next to them. 07, however, dead center of the map right now, trying to struggle for their survival as other teams are slowly collapsing in towards the center zone. Because like I said, the meta has changed a lot over the years, whereas now people actually tend to play less hardcore early and a little bit more alongside of the mid-speed. And this is exactly the scariest timing of mid-speed, because now, even if you run away from one team because you don't want to fight and disengage and rotate, you're more likely to run into another team like 07 has here, running away from the choke, run into Roadhouse.
And you may have noticed it, with the trademark of playing mid-speed is getting Ring 3 information.
Yeah.
Really notably, places like Landslide, Staging, Overlook, all give you the opportunity to get Ring 3 information and are pretty isolated. So while 07 aren't going to be able to do that, as they've been running into team after team after team, teams like Empire, who are rotating around the edge of the map, teams like Alliance, who are rotating around the edge of the map, will have the opportunity to pick up Ring 3 information at some of those POIs. You can even go stacks if Alliance choose to continue playing this far south.
Yeah, most definitely. 07 still struggling in between all these teams trying to make it happen as they're slowly getting collapsed, or I would say surrounded by several teams trying to play the same speed as pacing essentially of the game. And now, as you said about Alliance as well, playing on edge, everybody just getting geared, stacked up comparatively to all the teams in center zone right now, trying to make sure that, hey, we just want to hold our ground. But when you're holding your ground, this is match 1, nothing is banned yet, right? You still have Alter, specifically Caustic, very, very, very scary, as he is so strong at denying space and also taking space with all of his buffed abilities. I do know that he is getting nerfed a tiny amount for the next patch, but it's barely gonna touch him to that extent. He's still gonna be incredibly strong.
Ultra is so magical. Endorse landing underneath the building, 1 HP. They're already 2 floors into the building. That is the real power of Ultra. And taking a look at this next ring, notice that Empire Gaming actually got the advanced read at landslide, like we were talking about. Alliance have managed to hit the ring console down at tree. So they will be some of the only teams, I think FaZe Clan are going to be able to get this information as well, to know that the ring is pulling outside of Monument in the next zone, and actually a little bit more up onto this hillside, the train tracks to the south.
Yeah, the southwest side on that hill is actually so many good power spots. You can have a team playing outside north of the tunnel. You're going to have a team playing pretty much inside the tunnel, which will be Empire Gaming. But they want to deny that truck that's southwest of the zone right now, where that Evo Harvester is. Right there, you see where the zone is? You see that Evo Harvester? That's going to be a big power spot that you're going to be able to fight for. Alliance most likely going to be playing choke, potentially walk into that zone earlier. But this is all about timing. If Empire gets engaged from the northern side of a team wanting to come from the northern side, that's an easy access 3P from the team playing on the van. However, if van gets engaged from the east side or even southern side, it opens up for Empire Gaming to potentially 3P van. This is also interesting, and this is why I love late games, and we all like to see as many teams alive in endgame as possible, because that split-second decision making, those micro movements is so crucial late game, whereas early on you're kind of just rotating about, making sure that you stay alive, as we still see 20 teams alive, 60 players up still. And that's just so much fun.
Alliance are playing a risky timing game right now. You did mention how you want to get into this sweet spot that is south of Monument, but Alliance on their way there have run into the 18 other teams that want to do exactly the same thing. Now sandwiched between 07 and FaZe, just at the northern tip of Harvester. I don't actually know how Alliance get out of here.
They're gonna have to fight. This is the whole thing, that you have to have this split decision awareness that Hakis definitely does. He's gonna say, we're pinched, we can't try to coexist, because then we'll get pinched from FaZe. Well, they don't know it's FaZe probably, but they'll get pinched from the teams. So it's better to clear one out and potentially take a 3v3, hoping that the team that's holding them would get thirded from each other side, which is more than possible. 07 might be playing in a choke. Well, they don't even know that they're split holding the chokes, but if they get engaged from the east side choke, that opens up for Alliance or FaZe, whichever is the winner of this fight. Looks like FaZe got the first down, but they couldn't get that finish properly. Whichever team comes in there might end up getting a 3P, which is very, very good for them.
Makes me wonder what FaZe's game plan is here as well, because they are sitting on the edge of ring watching this. They must know that their game plan is also being impacted by Alliance holding ahead of them. So let's take a listen in with FaZe and see how they're approaching this conundrum.
Left and go in front of them. There's nobody in us choke.
Yeah.
Like if you're up my side, we can maybe get in front of them.
That though?
These rocks, they're basically in.
Yeah, it's pretty hard, but we can try.
He queued out. He queued out here. Just don't get shot.
They're shooting S-choke. They're shooting S-choke right now.
Yeah.
I think that's us probably. We can go. We can go.
Come. Yeah, come. I'm queuing us. I'm queuing us again.
They're gonna fight. They're gonna fight.
Can we break that? I queued again. Thank
you. Go, get to the circle. We're good.
No, get far ahead. Come.
Yeah, just walk with Q. Go.
Far ahead.
Just keep going.
Play on me. Full fight on me. We're so chill.
Oh, you blocked me. I'm good though. Okay, take space now. Take space.
Loki can play here. Like, this is like Loki good. Yeah. We can get shot in the back really easily.
That's what I'm saying. I'm gonna set up. I'm gonna set up. It's
the
okay.
team is gonna fuck her. Cute on us. Cute on us. Cute on us.
Okay.
On the right here. You need to place barrels here.
I'm trying. I'm just like setting up everything right now. Making sure we don't die from like
right here. On the bridge.
Okay, just chill. Don't get fucked. Don't get fucked. Because they're gonna die, bro. Like, let's just not.
Okay,
get on the height. I'm scanning him.
Huge macro from FaZe as SPS comes through the S choke, making Alliance take their attention towards them instead as FaZe moved up the choke, currently trying to hold up Alliance. Humongous play right there from the call. Even though, you know, you heard a little bit of uncertainty as, yeah, I mean, I guess we'll try. It turned out perfectly as now it comes down to a 3v3. All
now they're getting pushed.
Is that they're not going to get thirded, but they are getting pushed as Hakis and Effect right now, doing tons of damage, walking up, taking space together right there.
You're thinking, where is SPS? Where are our saviors? Because Alliance are choking FaZe out right now, but 2 go down. And we do have a third party arriving from the back. 07 apply pressure to the fight, and they let FaZe reset. This play is crazy keeping FaZe alive as they had almost completely lost control of that fight. But now 07, they're threatening to take out Alliance.
Aping Alliance here could be good for the KP, but they might get 30 immediately by FaZe if they are ready and awake. Alliance trying to survive or tunnel here in the corner. Hey, FaZe, let us lick our wounds and reset a little bit as 07 currently gets down, trying to open Nexus back, doesn't do it. Adam goes down. It's down to Kashira and Nasky trying to make it out there, opting to go through the Eastern choke. There's no way they have enough time to do that. It's gonna be a fiesta in this choke.
The zone is closing, and FaZe, just like you talked about, do end up coming in for the third party. We should be saying goodbye to Alliance here as one nicely placed shot takes out the last member, Hakis, and puts FaZe as the last team left in this choke. 07 still having to rotate through. SPS going to go down. Those are our first 2 squads eliminated. Alliance and then SPS go down, and it is as our third round closes. We will say goodbye to Legion Gaming on the way. UAIM don't seem to be making it too far either, as not only the squads from the south, but every single squad from the eastern side of zone is sprinting to get into what little space you can play. FUL seem to have found a little bit of space right on this ridgeline, but Killer Whales, they don't get so lucky.
I mean, 20 team Circle 3 closing into 15 now for Circle 4 is nice gameplay. I wish we could catch all the action, but it's so hard when you have these choke points, when you have these points of areas where it's gonna collapse and you have several teams walking in from the same side. It's impossible to catch all the action. However, cybercats in the building, very happy for the moment, but they're gonna have to move in just 1 minute with several teams in front of them. It's gonna be another collapse from the northeast side of the things, as FaZe Clan as well was chilling in that southern choke as Empire. Remember when I talked about that high ground and I talked about that van? Empire is currently controlling the next entire zone pretty much. They got like 50% of the zone if they walk up on that height. They are looking in a phenomenal spot, as we can see right here on the minimap. Phenomenal spot right now, as long as they can hold that area, because FaZe Clan has to hold out their backs. Everybody else has to hold out their backs from the remaining teams left. There's 14 teams alive. 2 of them has to hold out pretty much 5 teams each, as 1 team is just chilling.
SJP2 did push out ZiPLina Mafia, but like you say, this position from Empire has to be the talk of the town. Kraber in God's spot, what more can you ask for? SJP2, they certainly could use a little bit of that luck going their way. With Kearney already down, SJP2 and EVOS, both stacked in this building, have a long and painful way to go to get into the next ring. Citadel sit in front of them as well, and that is not a team that's going to give up space too easily. Nice shots from Denze. Not making a huge difference in the positioning right now. No shield crack means certainly no fight push as a duo, and Kyler sitting up here in the gas, waiting as the zone inevitably pushes SJP2 into what I'm thinking will likely be their demise. Empire holding God's spot though. This is the team. It is their game to lose, and we'll see how they manage to navigate the next couple of minutes. FaZe, their rotation out of the bridge, nicely placed. Great wall as well. Keeps them safe from the Arcstar. Nom, goodbye. Take flight. Goodbye.
This is very scary though, as FaZe is on that bridge, could get shot from 2 teams. However, Empire actually helps them, shooting at the team on the opposite side of FaZe. Other teams are playing on the bridge right now, walking in with this zone collapsing right now. Zone 5 about to get revealed, as we know where the zone will be moving, top left, well, western side of this ring. As Arctic right now with the Kraber PK looking to take FaZe out.
Get one shot like that, and FaZe pull the Uno reverse card. I don't think it's going the way they wanted to, however, as now there are so many sidelines on FaZe. Liffin actually loses the 1v1 against Zane, giving FaZe a second chance at life. Empire have 2 members on half HP. First Peacekeeper shot connects, and FaZe do go down in 9th place overall. Empire now have to hit an emergency reset. Nobody seems to be pushing them, however. Cybercats and FUL are fighting, and as FaZe clan just expired, it seems like nobody has pushed up onto Empire using that time.
Very lucky for Empire that the fight Cybercats as well was fighting on that bridge in the lava side, making sure that they could get that full reset, as right now 07 gets eliminated. EVOS, however, in the air, in the sky right now, just shooting down bullets at everybody. Nate right here with the barrels as well, making sure that the team underneath Citadel Gaming cannot relax at all.
ONIC do fall, and Citadel forced out by nades. Now use the altar ports to get a little bit closer to the zone, a little bit closer to EVOS. This fight is going to break out in a real way very soon. A couple nice shots from Empire. Just keep an FUL honest. Empire controls so much space. Look at the top left of your screens. They are all in completely different places, and this Void Nex is the only thing that can bring the squad back together, letting them reset as Empire prepare for an end game that, again, should be theirs. It is a game of control for Empire, and teams like FUL and Passion on the eastern side are vying to take it away from them.
Passion here needs to make a play on Empire. If they fight this fight and they can 3P, make sure they stay alive, and then get to fight for the southern side of things, they could win this game. However, everybody's trying to make the same play. Empire just making sure that they're denying space right now, as EVOS and Citadel Gaming on the northern side are also engaging in a fight right now. Everybody is fighting right now. Empire, however, super safe, making sure to control space rather than full commit to a fight, pushing everybody else into each other to make sure they can close this game out, and it's looking very likely.
Oh, it's a nice Kraber shot to help eliminate Passion. Cybercats gone too, and Empire with 1 shot left in the Kraber for Arctic have 1 team left to take down. It is Empire and EVOS. Empire have sat here for so long, but EVOS have climbed their way up the hill, have taken out Citadel, but with MG clutch down, what can they do? Empire look for the finish in through the altar port and out the other side. We are looking for Peacekeeper shots and a quick finish. Another member of EVOS falls, but Liffin gets traded out. Just Nate behind this knockdown shield, and a nice knock back to help Empire close out their kingdom up here on the hill.
Empire coming from landslide into tunnel, getting that van power spot we were talking about earlier, managed to hold off, take a fight against FaZe Clan, hold off and get the reset. Was a little bit lucky from the teams in the lava. However, making sure that every other team that has to walk in with the collapse of the ring to fight each other by pushing them out, also with the power of Kraber. Huge nice shots as well by Arctic right there, closing out the game with so much KP. I didn't even see how many KP they had, but they had plenty of KP.
I mean, it's literally almost a perfect game from Empire.
Yep.
With how, like you talked about, they were able to play mid-speed so well, moving into landslide that did have one of the few places where they could hit the ring console, and then using that ring console information to get themselves God spot, play the God spot with so much space. I mean, the 11 kill points that they got this game doesn't even begin to describe how impressive this game was from Empire. But it's worth noting, EVOS clawed their way up there with several KP as well, and we're not nearly as, I'll say, well positioned from the mid game. EVOS had to get out of Monument and play priority on the hill in a way that challenged them very differently from Empire. Empire had a game they had to control. EVOS had to find a game to play, and they managed to make it all the way to second.
It played really well, you know. We saw from the map overall that EVOS was holding the northern side of Collapse, where they just got to shoot down at everybody from absolute height. Whereas Empire, you know, had to fight a little bit up more closely because the team's collapsing from this southern soak specifically, where we saw all the action, where Alliance got sent by 07, where then everybody's getting held up by everybody else. And it's just so much action at the same time. But if you can just, like I said, you get those power spots, you understand what your goal of the match is. It's not just to get kills, but make sure that, hey, we need to hold our space. They even played, like, I think in circle 3-4, they played like 80% of the zone currently. One guy was up on the train rail, one guy was far almost in the choke, and they're just denying everybody's space. When you can do that consistently, put yourself in these power spots, games will open up for you, and even just getting close to 20 and even over 20 points, you're gonna feel really good about that, because now you have room for errors if you need it, but with this consistency, they could just blast everybody like straight out of the water.
Yeah, I mean, I had a blast watching that game. If you're interested in on how they played that, go ahead and check out Face It Watch. It's a great place to go during the quick break we take between match 1 and match 2.
Dedication, competition, greatness. For some, it is the reason we forge rivalries, drive to be the best. Others, mate, we're just here to have a bloody good time. Oh, yeah.
It's not your mind playing tricks on you. It's just me. Maggie's back and ready to rip some heads off.
Hi, friends. Hi, friends. Hey, that's me. A new game that brings together matchsticks and gunpowder in bloody matrimony. Wild card.
Tickets on sale now. Things are about to get cooked. Legends were harmed in the making of this commercial.
Intriguing. You have my attention. You're welcome.
Time to see if all those drills have paid off.
Nice triple kill. I'd say congrats 3 times, but we're still in.
Welcome back, everybody, to the ALGS, where we just finished match number 1 here for EMEA. And that was an exciting match number 1 to kick the day off, to say the least, Graceful. Empire Gaming, at the end of it all, were able to take it home. And there was a point when I was listening to you and Dia talk about things, and you were really impressed with the way FaZe was able to handle that kind of fight towards the choke, but FaZe was not able to survive with the position that Empire had. And like you guys mentioned, they just kind of were able to force everybody else into each other, Graceful, and make it work in their favor.
I mean, the biggest thing is that all the spots, especially chokes in general, right? Chokes could be incredibly good and they could be incredibly dangerous. It's all about the timing. When you come too early, you get pinched from 2 sides. When you can hold one side out, it's even better. But as you said, it was very hard for them to hold that choke. But the team that did manage to hold their power spot was Empire. Game 1, match 1 winner, 11 kills. Damage, in my opinion, is a little bit hard to say. You know, some can say, oh, if you don't have 70k damage, it's not a lot of damage. But that if that's just poke damage in my eyes, it doesn't really mean that much. However, very happy with that. As we also know, and everybody could see ahead of the time, Caustic is now banned. Something that everybody was expecting for sure with the powerhouse that he is now. Almost reminded me of the old days of Caustic. He is very scary right now, and I love every single bit of it.
You know, I also love that Dia set this storyline up too when he was talking about, you know, which Empire are we going to be getting today? Is it the one that we saw on day 1 that got a 17th place or one that was able to really kind of bring it and set themselves up well for success. And I think they did exactly that in match number 1. 95 was it? 19 of our teams. Yeah, 95%. 19 of our teams took Caustic. He is now no longer in the running as an option as we continue on with our next World's Edge match. So, what does that mean for our teams here, Graceful? What can we expect to see them pick up?
I mean, we're gonna see the same role essentially just get swapped out. So another controller for another controller. Caustic gets moved out as Watson gets moved in. All of these teams, well, not all, but very many teams are now opting for Watson instead. This is something that might add more defensive capabilities due to her ult and, you know, fence lines essentially, especially now with the electrified door as well. It's very scary if you are in an area where you can hold that. However, not the same offensive capabilities as Caustic is so oppressive offensively. But Watson is something that a lot of... You don't really have to swap, like the person playing controller doesn't really have to swap up too much. You still have the same duty, so to say. Denial of space and trying to take space as much as we can and holding our spots. So people will opt for something a little bit more comfortable. We haven't seen any ramp so far, but we have seen a lifeline actually.
Apparently, EVOS found themselves in a bit of a pickle here, already losing CJ, and they were our team that just came in second place after match number 1, so this is not where they want to be. They're gonna have to push us in. Alternator seeing what Nate can do with that as CJ holds the door, but this is less than ideal for EVOS right now.
It is, but that electrified door, like I talked about, is doing so much actually, almost puts him down due to it. And now he did go down to the electrified door. MG Clutch will get out of there, trying to make sure that their game is not a donut right now. Donut, aka 0 points, is something that you want to avoid at all costs. However, Watson's seeing a little bit of a niche technique right there. Is very nice to see. However, 2 kills right there for Zip is very... They're going to be happy with that.
Yeah, they did not coexist well in Skyhook, so ZiPLina Mafia coming out on top. Like you said, as MG Clutch is able to get away, and we get to take a look here at the circle back towards back towards Monument and Fragment over here. Empire probably feeling real good as they start to make an early move through that choke.
A lot of these, yeah, I mean, Empire's going to be happy. They probably... Nobody who has the next zone knowledge is going to opt that it's going to be the exact same zone. However, some teams should be playing up, like if you look at take Flyte as an example, a spot to where if it goes either way, we're still fine. People are opting to move in a little bit deeper this time rather than last game. 07, as we can see on the map as well, moving a little bit more towards the northern side to see if they have a playable area right there. All of these teams are just making sure to say, hey, we're not locked in, we want to be able to fight for something, and it's looking really promising so far because, sure, the zone is around, you know, Monument. As I said, I don't like repetitive zones too much, but this should play out a little bit differently, which I'm fine with.
But more action is happening. Somehow we jump into Legion in a back and forth here, having to get a res, able to do so and get a reset, so no one got pushed too aggressively here, but that Newcastle drag kept them alive, and they're able to defensively set up using those Watson walls. Ken trying to do some shots here with the 30-30, and this is just a bit of poke damage, but everyone is feeling a little spicy today, Graceful.
I mean, we might say spicy. It's still 20 teams alive. Everybody is still just poking, showing their teeth at each other. Hey, don't touch our macro. We want to go through here. We want to hold here to make sure you guys don't mess us up, because they want to make sure that they're not stuck in an awkward scenario like we saw last time. Alliance in that little pathway right there, in the snake, like I like to call it, where if you try to walk up that choke and you have a team moving in behind you, you immediately are pinched. Not very comfortable. And speaking of comfortable right now, Beamsy right here with the PK, charging it up as they're about to take a 3v3 in this small Dorito building.
Enjoy it while it lasts, trying to line up a shot there on Blasts. Able to connect on the third one. Has that additional shields helping them give a little bit of cover, but this is, they are squished inside this building. They end up getting pushed 2 are down. It's all down to Kuro with the PK to try and stay alive, and this is not looking good. Killer Whale's eliminated. At the same time, FUL is eliminated.
They were actually fighting SPS as well as SPS TP'd out. That was a huge 3v3, I believe. One team managed to disengage, as however Roadhouse taking them out right there. Nice KP, and they also secured their way through the choke safely, hopefully. as we now see, this zone is one of the zones where a lot of more teams are opting to play center zone, because this is one of those areas where if you're not in the northern side of this zone, potentially, it's going to be really hard to rotate past these teams, because the southern side has a lot more pathways to make it towards the van side. This side, up this hill, is almost impossible, because look at the screen right now. There's pretty much 6 playable areas where teams will hold you out if the zone pulls in that direction. You don't want to get held out by 6 teams.
Getting to see Empire trying to hold the tunnel right now. They know that there's at least one team over there. That team is going to be Legion Gaming, hanging out on the outskirts of Landslide. They'll probably opt to wrap around rather than try to push through that. As Empire are setting up in the exact same spot here, Graceful. But like you said, they should know to shift a little bit farther north this time around.
Same macro, very, like, I like the consistency. They have the same macro for the zone regardless of where it is. If it's in Monument area, we're doing the same thing. We're hitting our info, maybe in Landslide. Maybe they'll hit the next one in Landslide late even, because that's what they did last game. They're looking, and you actually see Legion Gaming in Landslide right now, and they're just like, hey, same macro, same idea. Depending on where it pulls, we shift it then. But the early macro, the zone 1 to zone 2, they're gonna play the same way. I like that. Like we talked about earlier in the pre-show, consistency, and that's how you build consistency.
Jenny was not cooperating with Zane right there. Could not find a spot to put that down, as they are finding themselves in a back and forth here now with Roadhouse. Some poke damage coming out on behalf of Zane's, giving them an opportunity to maybe make a push in. As Cinetic does get knocked, though. This is a tough spot between these two rocks, because they're also going to be drawing some attention potentially from Empire, and FaZe is decimated instantly as soon as they're out in the open.
I gotta say though, did you not agree that engagement where it looked like they had the jump on them immediately went down to 2 shots of Peter? Something that you can't really account for it. You can never count anybody out, because 2 bullets of the Peter is all it takes when you're on blue armor to get immediately rinsed. And now Alliance, however, in the center right there, waiting in Harvester, seeing if they can make a fight. As Effect, like always, taking that front line, even on a character like Watson, making sure to say, hey, you guys are not doing anything to us unless without fighting me.
Yeah, SPS get out of there very quickly, not wanting to have that fight. Is only a duo, I believe, right now on SPS up against Alliance. Oh, no, there's all 3. There's all 3. They're just gonna go for a wider wrap towards that eastern side, as Alliance then open up a little bit of space for themselves to head through that Harvester choke with not too many teams ahead of them that they'll be able to deal with. But like you said, you can see just how many teams are starting to stack on top of each other. And 2 of those teams that were in our top 4 from match number 1, Graceful, you've got Cybercats in the next ring. They were in a tie. They were in 4th place, as well as Passion was in 3rd, and you find them right on that northern edge outside of Citadel Gaming. So our top 4 right now are actually all looking pretty comfortable here in match number 2.
Not only that, but EVOS is back to a trio. They're getting the next zone knowledge right now as we speak. Empire have the same macro. Alliance doing the same macro as last game as well, trying to make it through the choke. Will we see a clash there? Because you want to make sure that you can hold that. That big God Rock is still in on the southwest side of things. Most likely where Empire is going to be stationary up. But the zone should not be pulling towards them too much. So all the other teams are opting for, hey, this zone might be pulling a little bit differently. Well, way differently. And now that it pulls differently, people are opting for buildings more so than anything. Also, with the fact now that Caustic is gone, teams are having a harder time breaching you, which makes building initially stronger than before. Because now you have Watson, sure, but when you don't have that Caustic explosiveness of aggression, teams can reliably hold their spots a lot easier. So now buildings are a lot more safer.
Speaking of Cybercats too, inside one of their safe buildings, seeing if they can maybe break those doors with that frag. Able to do that. Does it open up a sight line? Not just yet, but they're at least comfortable here, and they know that they've got SJP2 in the area that they'll be keeping their eyes on. They have a relatively open east side of this zone as well, so they can really hold this for a decent amount of time and maybe kind of wait on some of those other squads that are taking their time moving into the next circle to deal with each other. Alliance, meanwhile, have set up in this choke, as they'll be playing this nice and slow. I'm not 100% sure if there's anyone behind them that they have to worry about yet, but I mean, after scaring out SPS, they look pretty good.
This is the thing though, is that Alliance is doing something that I really recommend everybody looking at home. If you play in your ranked games, this is what we call holding out your backs. You need to make sure that before you make a play for a team that's in the front, you hold out your back so you don't get thirded. Because even zone 3, like round 2 closing, when it's fully closed, people can still late rotate into your backs very late. And that's something that you have to be Like, you have to account for that as you're taking fights as well. Now, however, Alliance is gonna be in a pinch potentially between SBS that they were fighting earlier and Empire Gaming as well. All of these teams might collapse each other for the southern side of the zone, with this zone closing in shortly.
They know that Empire Gaming is there, but I don't think they realize just how spread out Empire Gaming is. So they're playing this a little bit safer from this choke right now. If they do opt to wrap around, like you said, they could potentially run into SPS, but it's not really a reason for them to 100% do that yet. So we'll have to see what they decide. Meanwhile, Legion Gaming have moved in right next to 07, able to snatch away a little bit of this bottom floor from them as they kind of hold some space and everyone starts to settle in. As we get to see the zone shift here, Graceful. And what just happened there for everybody on that northern side?
That's the thing, like I said about buildings, when you full commit to something, it's gonna be hard, because now, if they thought, if this was pulling northeast side towards, you know, Icicle, towards that rest beacon, it would be looking very differently from all the teams up north. Now 07, Legion Gaming, Nomb, ONIC, Citadel, Endorse, and even Passion and ZiPLina Mafia outside of the zone. All of these teams have to fight their way in, collapsing with several plus teams. It's going to be really hard. However, on the southern side of things, Alliance starting to show their teeth against Empire Gaming, as also I believe Hawk is potentially scouted out SBS, saying, hey, if we fight now, we're going to get thirded. We might have to either all in on their location, so it takes further for the other team to engage, or we have to wait and make a different play to make sure we don't get pinched. Speaking of pinch right now, Legion Gaming in a fight, trying to see if they can get an opportunity whilst owning a building to see if they can potentially clean out some competition right next doors. Because if there's too many teams around you and one of them opts to int you, that opens up for 3-piece, 4-piece, and when you have this many teams on the north side, potentially 5-piece.
You can see Nasky's getting scooped there as he is down for 07, as Kashera's going to see if they can maybe get him back up and into the game with them, as they've got a squad right outside. Legion Gaming looking to see if they can push in now on the injured 07. Adam without shields having to dip outside the building, see if he can maybe survive just a little bit longer while Kashera's trying to hold things down. This is going to definitely draw some attention their way as well, so they'll keep putting these fences up, throw the Jenny down, and see if they can hopefully survive. Nasky alive, back in the game, able to get a reset, and no one of these teams pushing too hard for this fight.
I mean, Legion Gaming a little bit scared there. They knew there was a 3v2 and they didn't opt for the fight, but they're opting for the 3v3 now as they immediately get pinched and shot down. This is something that I I really dislike in general, is that if you want to fight, then fight. Don't take too much time dwelling on it, because the longer you wait, the higher chances are you're getting 3-pit, as they immediately got shot from across the map, it looked like almost. And now the 3v2 scenario has reversed in 07's favor.
We see that time and time again. Any indecision just a second too long can always turn the tides of this game, as we get a chance to look now at this top down. Alliance still on that southern side. They were able to hang out long enough for Hackus to get the info on the next ring, so they played that very well, pushed their way through the choke, didn't have to worry about Empire Gaming like we were saying, and now they have all the information at their disposal, knowing how they can play the southern side of this circle, as we see another shift and see just how fortuitous this is really for UAIM.
I mean, that building is something very, to be happy about. However, a lot of teams are going to opt to fight for the same area. Even under the bridge on the southeast, it's not really in just yet. But you can play the, how should I say it, courtyard maybe, outside of UAIM's building. A lot of teams opt to play for those corners. There's 2 corners you can potentially set up and play around. And people are definitely going to opt for that. However, UAIM has to make sure to deny other teams trying to play their spot and even potentially get some more KP. So things are looking good for them. On the other side of things, Roadhouse on the west side there, Empire routing underneath them under the bridge right now, opting to do the same thing, as several teams are going to have to fight now with this zone closing potentially, and people are already opting to scout, as right here Shex and Ekio feeling a little bit comfy right there in the lava.
Right on the corner of the circle as well, so they can kind of hide there for a bit. 07 cannot catch a break. They're constantly back and forth with Legion right now, having to stick a res here, get Kashera back up, as they have yet to find a safe way out. EVOS eliminated in the kill feed while all of this is happening, unable to move in and find any sort of safe real estate. Will this Kraber be able to do anything for 07 to get them out? Because now Endorse have moved into this fight as well.
I mean, everybody's starting to move into each other's buildings right here. Kashira in a huge fight. Can't really see Sampe as well. Luke walking up. Messi coming through the wall. Everybody is trying to offer this 3v3. As it comes down to a trade potentially right here. No. 07, yeah, one gets traded. They do get the team wipe, but now they're getting shot by everybody else who's already finished their fight, potentially holding them out. This is what I said about getting held out right now. 07 gets eliminated by Peters and Charge Rifles, and they're not stopping there. Nom, actually, the full Swedish roster we talked about. Orfram getting down early. However, Nesidia and Mayborn still up, looking to secure a spot. They do here with the Watson Q, and they can even get this reset. Looking good for them, actually, after having a quiet... They've had some few quiet weeks leading up to this, match days leading up to this, but now this is the start of a good thing.
Legion Gaming also went down in all of that collapsing chaos as Nam was able to do poke damage on everyone coming from that northwest corner. They do have ONIC in the general vicinity, but now we're getting to take a look at cybercats, who have been holding strong. They've got SJP2 above them, but they do hold the low ground right now as they're able to kind of wait and see. UAIM have been moved in on by SPS, who had survived and wrapped a little bit farther east after dipping away from Alliance at Harvester, and now SPS actually find themselves in one of the best positions.
Yeah, I mean, UAIM was in this building for a long time, and they managed to secure it right now. They don't have the bottom floor, which is completely fine. As long as they don't get engaged on immediately or down through the window, which would open up for a potential play. You know, when we have Alter available, that's the scary part. Scary nature of Alter really is if you go down, regardless of where you are in the building, a team can just fly straight through and then 3p you. However, we saw Cybercats earlier in that train station, now moved into the building underneath SGP2 as Densi is trying to find some angles. One team is even opting right here for the lava. Huge fight between ONIC, Lufka, and Aqua, however, immediately closing that down, saying, hey, you guys cannot come here. Roadhouse has been on fire. They took an early fight earlier in that 3v3v3, and now they got the lava for free almost. They just held them out with those PK shots, still in the next zone, potentially really close to the true endgame circle as well.
Empire Gaming definitely could potentially be a problem for them. They know where Roadhouse is, and Empire do have the height, but right next to them on that height is Alliance, who will be looking for them to make a rotate. Nice little off angle here from Effect. ONIC and Nam eliminated in the meanwhile, as Effect is able to sneak some shots into Roadhouse. Alliance have a great position, completely owning the southern side and the tracks right now, allowing them to look down on everyone. ZiPLina Mafia, meanwhile, eliminated, and now we're checking in with SJP2.
I mean, look at this lava. There's two teams down there right now. Terrifying. However, Alliance on that train, on the train right now, essentially, the broken one, southern side, holding it down. Like, the only scary part right here is UAIM for them, and they're finally getting shot a little bit, but they have the blue boxes right there. They're gonna be the first team to move out in the courtyard underneath UAIM. However, Cybercats, down to a rat, I believe, is trying to survive in that spot specifically as they get a reset. Somebody just got a rest, and that's huge for them. Empire Gaming and Roadhouse fighting for that lava still, as they're also getting poked. Hakis went too deep, gets down right there by Empire. He should be able to make it back potentially, or does he get finned? I don't know.
We'll have to wait and see what happens. Meanwhile, Roadhouse have still survived. They are back and forth right now with Empire Gaming, who are looking down on them. Nice PK shot from a distance there out of Lufka. Trying to survive down on that lava. They're not safe either. They're eventually going to have to move out of there, and how they decide to do that will be interesting with how many teams are looking down on them. Empire finally eliminated, and Alliance move in to take Roadhouse out early.
Alliance looking to take this 3v3 in the lava right now. However, they cannot forget that SGP2 is also in the lava right now. And he immediately returns fire on Densi. Densi gets down actually by Effect. Right now, it's a 3v2 in the lava. If they can wipe out SGP2, they're going to be in a great spot. However, Passion saying, no, you guys can't fight in the lava for free. While they are fighting for the courtyard right now, we will join this fight and see if they can wipe out SGP2. And it kind of looks like that as Alliance gets to lick their wound right now in the lava. If Passion gets thirded by whichever team wins up top, something could go completely wrong.
Cybercats were not able to make their way out of the building safely. Passion are looking down at SGP2 as Alliance trying to scooch their way in from that lava side. The two on SGP2 trying to hide in the corner, but everybody knows where they are. These angles from Alliance will definitely spell the demise of SJP2, at least forcing them out of position as they go down. And now Alliance just has to make their way up into UAIM and Passion, who are all waiting on that high ground.
I mean, this fight is going to be explosive because you have teams owning essentially equally as much of the zone. However, UAIM looking in a spot to where they have the truck on their side where the zone ends, and Sanya's looking for the fight right here on top of the truck.
UAIM make the move in onto Passion. This will open up the doors for Alliance completely as UAIM start to fall and Alliance are healthy. They move up for a third-party opportunity. They just have to make it past the Newcastle Red Shield to close out match number 2.
I mean, you know what I like about VOD reviewing, Lauren, is the fact that you can improve. And when you saw UAIM right there, they actually had the end game end on them. That truck was in their favor. If they just played that truck without getting swung and just making sure to push the other team into Alliance, essentially, they could have potentially won that. Opted to fight immediately for the kills, potentially for the placement. Not something I agree with in general. Alliance, however, played that southern side. Empire opted to not fight for the southern side. They owned all of it, came through the lava side. That fight was ridiculous the way that they won. They immediately wiped Roadhouse and even got a down on Dense in the lava. Opened it up for them to close out the game. 9 kill points only, might not look that much, but when you think about they had to take essentially 3 big fights to win that game. Normally, what teams end up doing is that they really need to fight one fight for the God spot, but Alliance taking several and coming out on top on all 3 fights as well. Phenomenal gameplay. But however, we also know Alliance is one of the best teams in the entire world, and they're never not showcasing why that's exactly it. Huge play right there. Even though Unlucky has that amount of damage, when we saw those peeking shots from FX, wow.
Yeah, I mean, every decision was perfectly timed and well made on behalf of Alliance. Do want to give a little bit of a shout out though to Roadhouse, who just went on an aggressive tear with 12 KP in match number 2, which puts them very high now in these series standings after 2 matches. Obviously still 4 left on the day, but talk about a pop-off performance as well. Those 12 kills all the way down in 7th place. So they decided that they came to play here in match number 2 as we end up though with Passion at the top of our series after 2 matches. But things are very close right now. We're separated by 2 points from first to second. Another 3 down from there is Alliance. So it is obviously still anybody's game. But of course, in order to find out who's coming up next for the next win, we have to go to another break. So don't go anywhere. And when we return, match number 3 coming at you.
This is disgusting! He's gonna finish it off with one of the best endgame players. A single person I've ever seen and Wolves take game number 2. They call it. I mean, they look good right now. TYK down to a solo. BCG might get the W as a duo. And BCG. Now the nades are starting to come out. White bears are getting absolutely destroyed. So they're going to move up on these entry damage here. And it is Wolves v5 Fears. This is going to be an MVY Black Queen, you think, for game number 6. I mean, surely they clean this up. Wolves down as a solo.
Sony InZone, the official monitor of the Apex Legends Global Series.
everyone, and welcome back to match day number 4 here in EMEA. We just wrapped up game 2, which was a really fantastic win by Alliance, and I think you alluded to it there, Graceful. I think a bit odd to watch from UAIM. The nerves getting to a lot of teams in the second round robin. I want to take a look back at the final circle, though, and see how this ended for all 3 teams that were involved, because Passion actually had a pretty decent spot here as well. It was Alliance that I was worried about.
It actually ends on UAIM, which is why it's so baffling why they're actually sending that fight instead of just trying to hold that. Like, they're essentially, they could have played on the opposite side of the truck and try to hold it down. Essentially, they get pinched by Alliance coming up from the lava. When you see trades on both sides as well, it's pretty much a free cleanup for Alliance. However, I don't want to take it away from the fact that before this essentially free 3P at the end game to close out the game, they had to take several very hard fights to make it to that point, and that was like the most impressive part to me. A lot of the times you only end up looking at the how did we win the last fight, but it's very important to look at throughout the whole game of things. Was our macro good? Was our micro decision good? This fight that we took, was it smart to take or not? And they were on point. Even when Hakits went down in the lava and I was like, is he gonna get back up? And they managed to pull him back in, and then they re-engaged later and wiped 2 teams essentially on their own. Phenomenal.
It was also very funny to me to watch this game because while the zone wasn't exactly the same, it was in a similar position, especially at the start. And during the whole back half of the second game, I was like, oh, so this is what it looks like when Alliance don't run into 8 teams in the choke. Okay. Like, it's literally the biggest difference between game 1 and game 2 for them is that they get to sit in Harvester for ages and find the next zone read, one further than most teams ever get. It will be their last chance to do so, though. Maybe the last time we see Alliance walk through Harvester on their way as we enter match number 3 on World's Edge, with now Alter being banned. So now, with Caustic and Alter taken away, that's going to change what World's Edge looks like for a lot of teams.
Not only is it going to change how it looks like for them to play out on match 3 coming up, right now as we speak, I'm so happy to get into the game. Alter also saves a lot of teams from making bad plays. So, like, I'm not gonna say it, but if Alliance didn't have Alter right there, Hakis dies in that lava, if they play it out as a duo, it looks vastly different from the way they closed out the game as a full squad, which ended up super well in their favor. And this is also one of the big questions, Dia. Do you play all available legends that are currently strong just to play them to get that game in? Like, when you have Caustic available, do you play Caustic? When you have Alter available, do you play Alter? Because right there, we could see Alter in true fashion's inner strength, the way Alliance played her, especially tied to the ult. They didn't use too many Qs because they didn't need to, but some other teams potentially got way more value out of the Q. And if they don't play it when she's available, they might not ever be able to play it in the series. And when you have those important moments to decide, do you opt for the comps that maybe you're not as comfortable with?
Yeah, you know, I'm noticing a lot of teams opting into that here, as most squads have elected to pick up Watson in this particular game. Only 2 teams not running Watson right now, which is a choice, especially given how incredibly in Sparrow and Ash. So please let this team do well. Please let this team do well. It would be so fantastic to watch Lifeline, Sparrow, and Ash pop off right now. But it'll be a little ways for them to do so. Is take a look at this zone pulling right down to the south on top of Dome, which for SPS does have a ring console this time, and on top of FaZe over in Stacks. Big Mod had early access to information as well, with Nom now rotating into Stacks, but there's potential for a couple 3v3s to break out, like the one that EVOS are picking right now, as it's early enough in the game that nobody's really ready to fight.
Early enough in this game for sure, but we also see double purple armor already. Very scary because you don't want to fight that when you're on triple white. But yes, the zone did end up moving all the way southeast, as we currently see some fights right here next to where the zone potentially could be going. Legion Gaming right here, fighting Blast in that corner, not getting the fight that they do want to get, as they're both very low. Sampi trying for the reset, Lufka coming in for the finish, immediately gets down after that res, and now it comes down to Calamitous trying to survive for Legion Gaming, but this is looking very unlikely because he should be getting finished right about-ish now.
Yeah, we're just waiting for the one Peacekeeper shot. Blast looks for it, but ends up using a nade just to get him to peek. Nicely done. Clean end to that fight from Blast. And yeah, Legion, despite being pretty close to where this zone was going to end up going down. Endorse, with another team with a difficult path, are fighting ONIC. just south of Lava Fisher. A reset does go through for them, but ONIC playing the bridge quite well, retain high ground, and now have isolated yet another member of Endorse, split completely from the squad, and you haven't got Ultra to make it back.
You know, ONIC here on 11 points overall is doing solidly fine. They've been in scenarios where they have had to take fights early, and they're looking very comfortable doing it. Zidane, one of the players that we all know as well, very strong player individually, looking to always make plays on that Wraith. Wraith is something we see a lot more frequent in this matchup compared to earlier matches as well, as we see other teams opting in more dead center zone. But the zone doesn't have to necessarily pull into stacks. It could pull southern side more north of Dome. It could pull west side a little bit more northeast of Launch side. All of these zones of potential, or even north side towards west of Big Mob by the trade rail.
And because of that, it's a bit of a gamble to get into zone this early, or rather to get into stacks this early. The nade does not connect. A nicely placed mobile shield saves Empire for now. And given that they're able to stabilize for this amount of time, I believe Empire should be alive until the zone pulls them out of stacks. Because when you have enough space, as they do here, you can gamble with it, I guess. Empire are taking another fight. They don't even take a breath before engaging that, and Nam are wiped out.
I mean, that was a phenomenal three-man push right there, making sure to cover all the angles. One of them wide swung, so they had to look at him, and you saw the free shot from across there over the wall. Very nice setup and execution right there from Empire. We've seen them hold their form so far after a huge game one now. Even having a solid game two, I would like to believe. They were in a spot that right there before they got wiped out in the lava, to where they are now having a good start of this game 3 as well. And if you have 3 good game starts, like, you're feeling really good about yourself. ONIC coming in from that bridge fight we saw earlier, chasing down a poor little guy running through towards the tunnel potentially, or even into Harvester. Might run into another team or not. Shouldn't be at this point, but feeling comfortable.
ONIC. The fact that they were chasing down Micey again is really tough. After you hit the respawn, you're being run at by the same team, but fortunately, there's enough disengage on Endorse that Endorse get away with every single member, and ONIC are left in staging, which isn't going to be a terrible thing for really either squad. ONIC have got a rotation that leads them directly into a ring console, and ring consoles are going to be really important when you're approaching the south side of the map.
I mean, definitely, for sure. Also, right there, you said getting chased down after you get respawned. Did you know the true fact about myself right there? In the LAN, in preseason invitational in Poland, we managed to qual because our refunds farmed a team. Like, we got through a round only because our respawn farmed them. So that does happen. When you get those points and you're hungry, you gotta run it down, and they're ONIC looking hungry. I'm very happy about that. However, on the flip side of things, Killer Whales currently 20th. King Victor, one player we saw run Spitfire a lot the previous match day, is now opting for more meta weapons, or conventional weapons, I would say, with the Scout PK. He has gone away from the Spitfire. I'm a little bit sad because fun to see other weapons, a little bit happy because it makes sense.
Yeah, Bongo's doing pretty well today with the charge rifle. We'll see what he can make happen here, as right now is the battle between Killer Whales and EVOS, with a potential third party coming in. Killer Whales have already lost one, but expend the lifeline ultimate for a bit of safety. That safety temporary, however, as Zeus immediately gets taken down. Killer Whales being shot in the side, get taken out, and ZiPLina Mafia inherit the fight up against EVOS, who did not lose a member. So EVOS actually able to reset in here, now with a little bit of KP.
Yeah, I mean, EVOS has been doing great, actually. CJ is also one of the players, and I believe MG Clutch as well. Like, I always see them in ranked all the time. Even, like, last week, I think CJ was like, hey, do you want to play ranked? And he's just always grinding. And it really goes to show, when you put in the time and effort, when you're grinding ranked on off hours. I'm not saying you need to play 16 hours a day, but I'm saying you play your scrims, you do your VOD review, you even put in that rank to get that little extra percentage of confidence in your mechanical abilities. It will show out in Pro League, and it really does go to show here that EVOS is doing great right now, sitting 4th currently, only into match 3. If they can keep this up or even ramp up even more, things could look good at the end of the day. However, Zone, like we talked about, pulls a little bit northwest-ish of the dome. Very good spot. Roadhouse is playing a spot I like to call right there in the dead center of the next zone, where I like to call it God Rock, but you know what? We used to call it TSM all the way several years ago, because TSM always played that, old TSM always played that spot and won so many games from there. Happy to see Roadhouse in a god spot, power spot right there. And we also here have a team running into a fight here. Alliance holding them out, however.
Alliance on this high ground. They look good, but sandwiched on multiple sides. There are a couple teams surrounding them. Alliance have ONIC on one side, Citadel on the other. Let's listen in to how they approach this fight.
I'll see off the bins.
Yeah. Just, try to watch like nobody take the spot 2 effect, like if you can see people flying there or something from launch
That's
side.
why Newcastle raid team, I think.
Like we just need to clear our back towards the tree, and then we walk in the outside spot here, control the lava and everything, and we're golden.
I don't think we need to both hold here now.
Wait, they're on the spot now. They're on the spot now.
Okay.
I'm not picking down.
Find him out. He's got a repeater up here.
Yeah, I'm going to.
Might just be a solo angling. I'm not sure.
Okay. So for now.
Someone just TP'd. Someone just TP'd here. This. Okay. They're taking it.
With what?
Okay. I'm not there. That fact.
The Newcastle wall there.
Okay. Like the corner outside?
Yeah. Watson, Newcastle there.
Okay. Someone's still platform. Mark, you see anything?
I don't see anyone.
I could pick right side.
This,
they have wall there. I'm probably
I'm picking it.
What 100? I mean, Ref 100.
Yeah, they're holding with PKs.
Okay. I have the platform here.
Ping again. What should I send you?
I mean, you heard it the best. I keep saying it. Clear out your backs. And Haki said exactly that. Just clear out our backs and then we can do what it wanted. ONIC was the team that they opted to clear out initially. However, they made a good Wraith play where they keep it into a spot where they have Newcastle and Watson, as I said, Newcastle, Watson, and Wraith, where they can hold that spot. They can't get naded out because you see their setup right there. They have Newcastle walled up front. They have the gen behind them. Now they're opting to take out that gen, so potentially they can look for nade plays. Not making this easy for Alliance at all, but Alliance is not backing down from a fight because they are indeed surrounded by also Citadel Gaming to the east. If they opt for this too hard, they might get thirded, so they're just trying to poke them out as much as they can. But when you try to poke out a charge rifle, what happens?
Yeah, well, it's not going to be too comfortable. Alliance try and take a reset right now. Unlucky expending the Newcastle wall to make this happen, but Effect has gone down meanwhile, and at this point, Alliance will be lucky to survive as Citadel also collapse. Now it's Citadel versus ONIC as Alliance expire between them. This fight, unfortunately for both teams, has to happen. There's no way that Citadel stop from gatekeeping ONIC. There's no advantaged rotation here, and actually it's a great time to look at what teams stand to win. Citadel want to take out ONIC. Take a look north, however. EVOS are going to get ring scan right here. Take a look south. SJP2 have priority on the ring console immediately after this zone close. That is such a late ring console. In fact, it's the latest one you can possibly get. So keep your eyes on SPS and SJP2 for who gets that last bit of information.
Speaking of last bit of information right here, scouting for info, Fuda is also looking to take space more, opting to shoot them out as they get pinched between Endorse and Empire. Lip and get that kill picked up, and they're very happy with that, even though they're kind of far away. Zone ending a little bit more towards Stags, in between Dome and Stags. Roadhouse was in still the same god spot I talked about earlier. Very nice spot for them. Also, one of the things that I talked about earlier is a spot can be truly good depending on when on the match it's happening. Because if it's too early, you might get pinched. If it's too late, well, if it's really late game, it might be the best spot in the game because you're holding out your back and now you have everything free to just walk in slowly and surely. Citadel Gaming, however, doing the opposite side of things where they're on the edge holding out their backs like the likes of ONIC before, but other teams are trying to get past them and holding them out. Now is the decision you have to make. Do we push back and get that wipe and take another fight like we saw the likes of Alliance do earlier, where you have to take several fights, grueling hard fights, but when you have that charge rifle we saw here, it could happen at any point. You overpick, you're instantly dead.
The decision kind of gets made for Citadel. ONIC decide not to take the jump tower and instead just ult directly on top of Zuni. Citadel still have access to the high ground and counter Newcastle wall straight into ONIC. Unfortunately, Remix Powers overextends by just a bit, gets shot in the back and is taken down, leaving Citadel in a 2 versus 3. Zuni's got to try and correct this Peacekeeper pump. Doesn't quite change things around enough. Kaishi gets taken down and it is 1v2. Citadel will try and disengage, getting stunned on the way out. But I think Zuni will be able to survive. The question is really for how long, because his teammates are not coming back.
Remix powers overextends a little bit with that Newcastle ult. It might have been a good idea because he says, hey, even if they ulted, I will trade my ult to get their wall away. However, overextended a little bit and got instantly punished by that. Citadel Gaming down to a rat. ONIC very happy, taking out not only Alliance before them, but now Citadel Gaming, well, 2 of them essentially. Cybercats also moving in as we see a little bit more towards stack. 2 buildings are still safe in the next zone for the moment. All the other teams in the big building right there, as we see, and as we see Empire as well on top, are not in the next zone. They're opting to fight for something, either a floor in the next building or on top of the roof. Other teams, however, instead of needing to fight for something, feeling very good about themselves. SBS is essentially in the next zone right here, and SJP2 has some playable area, but they could get wided by 07 on the far east side by that old truck on the far east side of the next zone. And here, ONIC, after getting many kills, looking to walk in with the zone, but they have to either get past 3 teams or fight for something.
Walking right past Zuni as well. Nice patient play from Zuni. Does stay quiet. Keeps the team literally alive, as he is the one hope for Citadel to actually collect some KP. But I like this. Take a look at Roadhouse.
Oh my God.
On the, what did you call it? TSM Rock?
Yeah, this is TSM spot, was I used to call it back in the day, yeah. Or just God Rock. We like
the
to call
best spot
everything.
in the game right now.
Yeah, but depending on where the zone ends, that's considered God Rock. Any spot that is like, you can sit there and you can make, you're very oppressive to make other teams unplayable, essentially, is what we call a God spot, essentially. It's a power spot to where if you hold that, you're feeling really good about it. So you get to shoot everybody, nobody can really shoot you.
And that's going to be where Roadhouse try and run this game from, in a very similar spot to, say, Empire from game 1. It is their game to be in control of. The Cybercats do try and pass them by. One way ahead of the others. Aku lucky to get out of here alive, but Cybercats don't really want this fight. They want space.
Nice.
Even that is not something they're going to get. Lufka does end up finding a fight, now pushing forward for the finish on this 3v2.
Nice.
Arrest has gone down on the low ground and Lufka overextends. Roadhouse still have high ground, but with a 30-30 they come down, collect the kills, take out Cybercats, and Citadel Gaming expire at the same time, leaving us with 12 squads. And Roadhouse still in a really good position, albeit no longer God spot as the ring has pulled a little bit further south.
They have the next rock that is also very good. You know, you saw that play from Aku. He got the entry and got back out. That's the roll of the Wraith. Really good play from Aku right there. But now, as we see also Empire fighting FaZe right now. FaZe, actually, it was BMC. I thought it was Empire. Now, FaZe Clan trying to survive for the moment as one of them gets full thirsted. Naxxus and Ethic still very strong with their mechanical skill. Opting right here. Empire also gets a reason as everybody's getting shot by the other rock on the southeast. I believe that was 07 shooting them from Narnia, essentially, trying to make it hard for everybody else to walk in because you want to deny space as much as you can, and if you're not allowed to play on that rooftop, you're not feeling very happy.
Bro, this building is so cooked right now. UAIM, Empire, Endorse, FaZe Clan, Passion, they are all on top of each other, and they've got 5 seconds to vacate stacks. UAIM, yeah, they may have a little bit of priority, but they are absolutely going to get caught in this just as much as anyone else. The entire south side of the map, or rather north side of the map, despairs as this zone starts to close in. Passion, go ahead and try and take a Wraith port in, and 07, it is their job to maintain control of this hillside. Kashera just scouting out kills for the rest of the team right now, directing Adams and Nasky as FaZe will go down on their run up the hill. Nasky continuing to contribute damage, looking for Futa right now with FUL down. We're gonna say goodbye to another squad as Endorse fall as well. 07, they do run the hillside, but UAIM are running up it at them. Nice trade by Nasky. Help keep the squad in control. Right Sonya and Max swinging this ruck. Kashera calls for the back off, and it's time for 07 to reset, to get together, and then to finish off UAIM as a squad. They move through the Ash portal, but they move right on top of Roadhouse. UAIM are going to fall. Then 07 grab a couple of kills, keeping their spot on the eastern side of the ring.
He must have accidentally taken that actually, because there's no way that play was in the heads of any IGL right there. Roadhouse still looking really strong as they're taking out Team Aku, still making the same play right there, making sure to get the fins, maybe an armor swap potentially right there, making sure that they are keeping that west side of the zone as other teams have been fighting. ONIC still alive in it as well from we saw earlier. 07 owning a large point of the circle as well right here on the east side. All of this is looking very, very tight.
SPS are down. A couple of nice nades picked up by ONIC as well. The utility will be very important to buy them space between SJP2 and ONIC in the next couple of minutes. Roadhouse, still a fantastic spot. Like we said, no longer untouchable. This game really seems to be a two-sided one. There's Roadhouse and 07, there's ONIC and SJP2. Only one team is walking out of these two sides alive.
You have to look at it this way as well. ONIC is actually ish in on the inside of that eggshell. So if they can, whichever team, SJP2 or ONIC, but ONIC is down to do. If they, whichever team wins the inside, actually gets a 3P team outside potentially. However, Roadhouse owns essentially half of the circle right now, trying to hold it out to where the team on the inside has to run out and potentially run into 07. So it actually comes down to 07 as well, needing to make a play. But ONIC right now, as a duo, can't hold it against SJP2. SJP2 looking in a really strong spot to 3P this last fight, unless these guys coexist around this rock. But Roadhouse should never allow that to happen, as they are looking right now, barrels down towards 07. And 07 is opting for the play with the TP straight into them.
Go for the kidnap. But the rest of 07 take it? This is bad. This is very bad for 07. SJP2 start sneaking out, and while 07 haven't gone down yet, they've taken an immense amount of damage, and they evaporate in front of Roadhouse. It's SJP2's time to strike, and they swing right into Roadhouse. Aku, though, answering back perfectly on the raid. Hits him with 1, 2, and it's just Kylar left who goes down in the face of Roadhouse, who take game number 3.
Aku, Roadhouse first and foremost. They played from Godspot very, very early, held out that entire west side, slowly walked in, and they kept taking fights and winning fights. Aku right there with the flips. Dude, go Flare, you deserve it. Aku right there with that phenomenal raid play, making sure to go in as the entry fragger, getting those cracks and potentially a down, immediately facing out to make sure to run to his team and recoup, and his teammates come in and swing. They did a triple swing after that reset and the down, and they kept wiping fights after fights. Very odd play by 07 right there. I know that they felt like they didn't have a play potentially. Still very questionable, but nice try regardless. Top 3 for them, very happy. SJP2 managed to wipe ONIC on the inside of the eggshell, getting that top 2 secure. However, look at this. 19 kills Roadhouse, 31 points from one game, Dia. Do you remember what I always like to say on the average? You need 5 points on average, about 35 points in general to be top 10. These guys just scored 31 points on one game.
So you're saying they can log off right now? You know, they could just play this game and, by your measure, be just about fine. I do want to take a look at how this turned out. Lufka actually picking up a lot of kills. I know we were talking a lot about Aku, who did hit 3k damage in one game. Oh my god. But second and third held by SJP2 and 07. SJP2, a really, really good game. I loved the way they took the fight on the inside, and I want to take a look even closer at some of our heavy hitters from today's games. Lufka, 8 kills so far with this most recent game, but actually it was Blast standing out, actually, with the assists, and of course Aku, who we mentioned, with the 3k damage. I'm going to give a quick shout out to Clone on Take Flight. Having 4 revives is nice. It didn't get them near the top of the leaderboard, but you're top of 4. You know,
it didn't get them to the top of the leaderboard, but 31 kills for Roadhouse did get them to the top of the leaderboard. Yeah. And as you said as well, all of the 3 players had something. You had the most kills, you had the most assists, and you have the large amount of damage right there. And it really goes to show that they are moving as a unit. Sure, Aku might get that entry frag, but immediately after that, they also go straight into the triple swing and cleaning up those team fights very neatly. But, you know, enough about me. I want to know what Glitter feels about it as well, because this game was phenomenal.
I have questions. I'm also a little speechless. Was the 12 kills in 7th place the match before a little foreshadowing on behalf of Roadhouse? Because like that much slaying in 7th place was already impressive, and then they turn around and they do this. Okay. I mean, my favorite part about that too was, like you mentioned, 07 was in a bit of a tough spot, especially with taking the Wraith Portal or not taking it. But they get, and by they, I mean Roadhouse, they end up with 07 on them. And instead of panicking, you watched all of them just kind of stare at 07 being like, wait, are you actually, is that actually happening? Or we're just going to sit here and let it play out, as opposed to jumping on it and trying to go for those kills. And that second of patience allowed them to not take on any unnecessary damage. 07 panicked, they back off, and then Roadhouse is still healthy. So then no matter what happens at the end, they're able to absolutely secure that win. I mean, they were calm. They handled every fight well. They looked terrifying. I feel like that is going to be a very good match for them to go back and review and be like, this is what we did really well in this moment. And we need to do this every single time. It worked, and we need to keep using that. And I guess while we're on the topic of going back and looking at things, you guys have mentioned it quite a few times while we've been talking through these matches. You've mentioned how important VOD review is. Let's deep dive that idea just a bit, whether it is VOD review for the sake of improvement or VOD review for the sake of finding what's working and continuing that success. I want to talk about the importance of that VOD review, Dia. So let's start this discussion.
Yeah, this is actually, it comes at the perfect time, because I think we had a very similar game. For today's VOD review section, I've selected FaZe in their game from Stormpoint last week. I believe it was game number 4, could have been 5, but I think it was game number 4, over at Wall, where they ended up basically making it into endgame circle, not quite being able to close out. They went out in a very similar position that they did today, having a good early game spot, transitioning it well, but just not quite able to, in this case, make it out of stacks, and in the VOD's case, make it really into the final couple of squads. So, Graceful, as a pro player, you are going to be our main source for how we're going about breaking down this VOD review, but I pulled a clip. Let's take a look at this, and then afterwards, we'll talk about what you're breaking down in terms of what went well and what you could have done better.
I gotta push this live. Okay? I'm good.
Smoke inside. I got Maggie, but it's bad.
Live. You're fine. I'm good. One of them, I have 180.
Smoking 5.
Nice. I can climb up with a skill in that corner.
I'm playing.
Okay, yeah, you should.
I'm smoking her back. We can play out. We can
climb
play
over,
out
maybe.
space now. We can play out space.
It's free shot. No, don't peek. Don't triple there. I have EMP 5% with this 5 with AP. Play with him.
Push nades.
We're fine. EMP 2%. Maybe you have smoke or no? You have smoke or no?
15, 13.
Okay, I'm trying to save my drone.
We'll not have
we could pick all of them.
Wait, good. Left side is free.
I'm peeing.
Yeah, I'm peeking. Play set.
I'm peeking.
We should kill him. We should kill him.
No, I died.
I'm smoking.
No, you can't.
Everyone is fighting. Just drop. No.
So this fight does end up still with the top 7 for FaZe. It's really not a bad game, especially when you look at what they achieved previously. But Graceful, given these last couple seconds, how would you go about VOD reviewing to improve the result next time, if possible?
So the biggest thing that you have to take away from this is that what was the goal? Because we had actually several different comps out there going to, we should look left and make sure nobody's on our left. One says nobody's on our left, and one says Nax. Well, we saw it from the PV of Nax right there, and he climbs up and he hits some huge clusters on him and says we should wipe this because he's getting 2 cracks essentially. And yes, the IGL has the last say, but every player should have the room to make callouts. And I think that callout was fine. However, the execution of it was not good enough. When you go back and you look at this, you also saw that he didn't even use his ult. Potentially, he could have pushed them off. I think the most basic idea that you have is, 1, do we have a spot to play? If yes, we take the spot, we hold everybody out. They did not really have that because they actually got obliterated from the left. So the play right there was to, and he even calls it way earlier before Nax even sees his play. He says, I'm going to EMP them and we're going to fight. That's the first comp that comes out. And immediately after that, you have to make sure that you invest everything into that one play. But it kind of got a little bit chaotic because actually the cluster hits and cracks, really good opening. Nothing happens of that. The EMP comes out, still they couldn't really collapse with the EMP in that combo because everybody's waiting out to not get hit by the EMP radius. One thing you could do about this, and I know some people might not like this, your teammates can actually just get hit by the EMP and still wipe the fight. You have to commit to actually cleaning the fight, or potentially if their goal was to just push them off so that they drop into another team, But what ended up happening is they didn't even make it up the stairs before one got instantly decimated and the other guy got instantly cracked, making it essentially a one-man swing, even though the plan was for 3. So what I would like to see, and going back onto this, is I called the play earlier. If I'm the IGL, because that's mainly what I used to play, I would say I called on EMP playing on this. You guys need to be ready for when that play happens, because that was not the case. So setup and execution needs to be tighter. Comms, I'm not complaining too much about comms, a little bit hectic, but every team is very different. So communication is very team-based. I still think it's good to have a little bit of passion, because sometimes what is the word I'm looking for? If you don't really get that sense of urgency in your comms, that could actually cost you a game or two as well. So, you know, you have several things you can work on. Could Nags have ulted earlier and made the play on his clusters? For sure. Should they have listened and been ready for that actual EMP play instead of getting absolutely decimated on the stairs? For sure. Communication could have been cleaner, but I think overall, you take back it is, we made it into top 7, we got into endgame-ish. We need to work on these micro split-second decision makings. I'm very happy still though, because that's a learning moment for everybody here and at home, and I'm sure that they also learn from it.
Yeah, I mean, we are going to try and, I think, do this a little bit more often, right? Take how we're improving games week over week and bring that into the broadcast. But one of the things that really stood out to me about this game and about FaZe in particular is that, yes, they are finding themselves in some of these positions. Yes, they are still working on things. But even talking to Synetic, I mean, he's very aware that they are working out of suboptimal scenarios. And the real curious thing about FaZe going into today is, are they going to be able to improve that? Because they've been stuck at 7th. And while that looks good because it's consistent, they do need to be able to dial it up a little bit over time. So we'll see how that VOD review works out for them. I'm sure they did their own. I'm sure they had very different takeaways from us, but Graceful, you've brought a lot of clarity to it. So so thank you. Thank you very much. Glitter, how did you feel about the VOD review?
I felt like I learned a lot. That was great. I'll take notes from Dia and Graceful's class anytime. Absolutely loved that. And it set us up well to head into the next match of the day. Before we do that, though, I have some good news for everybody at home. A little something special's coming up right around the corner, because we have some limited drops that have just arrived at the Play Apex shop that you do not want to miss out on. And while you're there, be sure to sign up for notifications, because there are limited edition encoded Nessie shirts available September 16th. And rumor has it there will be a launch discount promo for a short time. So as long as you're paying attention, you could be getting that discount promo. Absolutely love it. And look how cute the new merch is. Big fan. Big fan. So now everyone in chat, you get that done while we're preparing to get into match number 3. That was awesome. That was really good, guys. I'm excited to hear more from you in the future on stuff like that. It was definitely really helpful, especially for anybody in chat who might be, you know, wanting to improve on their game with all that insight from our resident pro here in Graceful. You guys absolutely crushed it. For now, let's start looking towards the rest of the day, because like you guys mentioned, that was our last map on World's Edge. Now we're going to be switching on over to Stormpoint. So what can we expect? We have our bans coming through here as well, Dia. So now we know who's no longer in the discussion. We're going to take a look at our POI drops as well. But what can we expect here on Stormpoint?
Yeah, I mean, this one is interesting because it comes second, and we've gotten rid of Watson, Alter, and Caustic. I'd expect a lot of Ashe, to be honest, on Stormpoint. There's so many wide open spaces to cross. Pathfinder, you're not really being forced into yet, although I did see a few teams running it last game. I'm talking to you, FaZe. I'm talking to you. I think that on this map, you're really going to be focusing on Ashe, and while he is still available in Newcastle, although I don't think he lasts the map, if I'm completely honest with you, Glitter.
Yeah, I can see that. I don't disagree with that either. Graceful, what are your thoughts here on what we can expect out of Stormpoint?
I think we'll see a little bit of shakeups because, like I said, the main 3 playstyles essentially of being very oppressive with Caustic, being very flexible and adaptable, and also if you make mistakes by pushing something, you can get that reset with the Alter ultimate, and now also Watson out of the box. This is where the team's setups and team compositions actually changes dynamic. There's no longer this whole we are playing for power spots. Now you have to fight for something now. So I think that teams that are a little bit more stronger on taking these 3v3s are gonna excel even more, and teams that we're kind of leaning into these scenarios where, hey, you know, we can make up for our maybe not flaws, but our our weaknesses maybe in taking 3v3s or fights straight up are gonna struggle a little bit because you don't have the caustic gas to lean on, you don't have that alter reset to lean on, you don't have that. So now it just comes down to more fundamentals of just raw gunplay. And if I'm gonna be completely honest, I love gunplay more than abilities. So like this is from now on, I like it even more.
Well, if we're talking about Legends, you know, and gunplay, those things will obviously be changing just a little bit. You mentioned it earlier on in the show, Graceful. We have a patch coming up right around the corner. So let's take a look at these patch notes and talk about it, okay? Because we have some Legend changes. When you can see on the left here, we've got some changes to Maggie, Seer, Ash, Caustic, and Sparrow. So take a quick look, read through these, and is anything jumping out at you? I heard an excited gasp already. I don't know which one of you gasped, but I heard the gasp.
I think
do you want to? I feel like I could talk endlessly. I'll let you have it.
I mean, I'm gonna get right to the point here. Like, as soon as I saw the patch notes, I tweeted this with the dev note from the blog. It's time to bring Seer back into the meta. I'm really hoping that these changes are enough because Seer has been sitting on the sidelines for a little long. You know, I've missed the guy, and I'd like to see him back. I think that he's gonna be very exciting to play next split, but I'm sure that, you know, that's probably not the forefront for you, Grace. So you're probably thinking about like real stuff.
I mean, first and foremost, everything is valid because everybody experiences the game differently, right? And if this patch makes you happier, I think that the developers managed to do something good, regardless of what level you're playing at, right? However, the thing that jumps out at me are some things. I'll just go through really briefly. Caustic doesn't change anything. Aim punch removed and slow ramp up. He's still oppressive, doesn't change anything. The big one we have to look at, and I think a lot of people have been more frustrated with, is locked hop-ups. Before, when you get that piercer on Peter so fast, it's very scary. Now it takes a little bit more effort to get to that point where it late game scales essentially. And now, like you said about Seer as well, Seer is one of the characters that I think everybody is probably top 3 most oppressive when he was meta. I don't think this will make him as bad as he used to be back when he threw a building at you and flashbanged you and did damage at you and silenced you and stopped pressing and everything. But I think that this will make him more viable for sure. However, the one that I'm happy about is Mad Maggie specifically, but I don't think this is really enough to bring her. Some people, you know, we've seen some Eastern European teams play Maggie for fun. They might rip her out again, but in general, I don't think that's enough. But the biggest thing that we didn't see on that actually, because I read the patch, so I know all of them, is that PK is actually getting a nerf with the choke specifically. Very happy, and I think most people are happy about that. I think people are very happy about that. But the one thing I like the most, even though it's not really a huge buff, Wingman also getting a little bit of love, and that makes me happy.
You had Dia thinking. I saw that. I saw the thoughts and the beard stroking Dia.
Well, I just wanted to talk a little bit more about it if we have time, because the Peacekeeper nerf is interesting. Do you think that this is enough? Because, I mean, obviously Peacekeeper has been very, very popular, but its short-range kill potential is still just as prevalent as it was, and especially in pro play. I don't see this moving the Peacekeeper really out of the meta.
No, meta PK, you will still pick it up because you're still gonna hit for 1-0 plus, like, in close range. But I think that's where it should be at. Like, it should hit hard because it's a shotgun, right? Now you can argue if it should hit as hard as it does or not. But in my head, I feel like we should have weapons for genres. They should be they're categorized for a reason. Shotguns should be close range. They should not be snipers because that's where we have snipers. And then you have ARs that should be mid-range because they are mid-range and not like old ARs back when Flatline was the GOAT, where it was better close range than any other weapon. So, like, I'm happy as we distinguish a little bit more towards where weapons are powerful because that's where they should be powerful. However, to the extent that they are, could be discussed. I'm not personally a fan of hitting 100 plus on only body pumps because we remove the headshot value of PK. I feel more that it should hit hella hard if you pump somebody in the head, but if you just hit body, like, hitting that hard for me is something. But this is a good step in the right direction, Dia.
I love it. I love that a simple patch can spark this much discussion. But Graceful, production heard you during the between time of saying, like, you know, we should just VOD review this last game because that's how good it was. I want to talk about it. And they got it ready for you. So we're going to do some VOD review on the final circle of what we just got to see. Okay, so let's talk through through these final moments. We're jumping straight in when you can see the Kraber ready to go before 07 makes their portal in. What did you specifically want to touch on here, Graceful?
So this is the thing where I'm pretty sure either Nazi or Kashera called for the TP play to say we're gonna make this play to start the fight, but then reposition so that potentially the team inside 3-piece them. Very risky play. Where they ended up dying, I would like to see 07 just TP for that and hold out the Eggshell team if they could have maybe. They're still gonna get swung regardless, but best case scenario for them is top 2 essentially. Roadhouse, however, right there, God spots in general, just holding them out properly because they own that rock, and if you can do that, well then you can close out the game. Even with this 19 kill games right here, they've been playing phenomenally in general, you know. However,
Absolutely.
I think here though, yeah.
Oh no, good. I mean, it was absolutely insane to end match number 3 with those numbers and in that way. But I'm getting told that match number 4 is literally about to get started. Lobbies loaded, players are ready, which means Graceful, you finally get a break. Go relax for a little bit. We're gonna say goodbye to you for now as I steal Dia away so that we can dive into match number 4 over on Stormpoint. Start talking about this next match. Will that be the snowball that Roadhouse needs? Are they going to be the team that was the proverbial point sponge that we were talking about?
And Roadhouse, like you said, you caught it on game number 2. They looked so good in game number 2. They snowballed that into game number 3, and I'm very curious what this looks like on Stormpoint for them now, because this is a little bit of a soft reset, shall we say, with the POI is changing, with the macro of teams around you changing. How does that affect your game? We've already actually seen some of the POIs swap from the last time that these two groups met. They did play Stormpoint. That was the map that they had in common between last match day and this match day. How is that going to change for some teams? As say cybercats, a really good example, have swapped POIs from the ZiPLine buildings, which have no loot, to being dead straight on pylon, which is fantastic loot.
And I like that you called out cybercats too, because when I had talked about them at the beginning of the day, they were, when I was talking about their performance, one of the things that I had noted was that they had struggled last time we saw them on World's Edge. And right now, they're not in a bad position, but they definitely didn't give us that match day 1 performance that we saw out of them last time, because now they find themselves at least in that 12th place spot after World's Edge. But Stormpoint was their best map when we saw them last time. So I'm wondering if this is that opportunity for a team like cybercats to turn it around, or now as we're watching Roadhouse get to loot up mill, are they going to just be absolutely destructive?
Such a weird composition, by the way, with 2 weird compositions. I mean, we are cooking something up. We've got a Revenant in the lobby. First of all, I have to notice that. But then we have Rampart, Gibby, and Newcastle. I mean, really, really good if you want to stay in one place. And if Roadhouse are able to get a ring console scan and get in the middle of zone, fantastic for them. But I'm noticing there's no ring console at Mill. I'm noticing there's no ring console at Cenote. I'm noticing there's no ring console at Barometer, and zone is pulling Barometer. So how does this composition actually function if you have no ring data?
Well, I'm glad that you called that out, though, because this is something that we actually saw on match day 2, this exact comp between VP and LG in Americas, and it did so well, both those teams being at top 2, that I think it's almost now influenced EMEA to start trying it as well. Obviously, you saw it on Roadhouse, but we also see it on Alliance. We see it on a couple of these teams trying it after seeing it work last weekend. And is that going to be a massive meta shift? Are we going to start seeing this Gibby, Newcastle, Rampart trio and more teams finding success with it?
I mean, I hope so. As a Rampart enjoyer myself, I really do hope so, yeah. I do think that Roadhouse managed to get a good guess here. Again, not really a whole lot of data for them to work off of, but they seem to have gotten themselves basically inside the Barometer zone, and Citadel are following suit. So everybody moving down into Barometer, as that is likely where this ring is ending. Roadhouse are going to try and farm a little bit of Evo on the way in, but realistically, if you're rotating in late, you want to be playing for Jurassic later on, because Jurassic is the spot where you can get ring 3 data super easily. There's no other spot in this zone that gives you as much ease to ring 3 data as playing Jurassic will.
In Jurassic right now, at least, is an open area for these teams that are taking a little bit more time, not making as early of a rotation, to really kind of take the time and go for that information that you're talking about, while all of these earlier squads are already setting up shop, hoping that they, they've nailed it. They've gotten the information they needed, and you can see everyone shifting really aggressively towards that southern side. Passion trying to make a rotation and actually finding themselves caught up here with Killer Whales, trying to get an off angle here.
Everybody rotating through pylon. Just a little bit later, Killer Whales have stuck with the lifeline as well, still playing very aggressively. And with Bangalore Sparrow lifeline, this composition is meant to do one thing, and it is run at you. That is the way that Killer Whales found success in their very first game of all of Pro League on Storm Point. It was by running at teams. They ran at ONIC, they ran at everybody, and they just got so many kills that it didn't matter that they didn't win the game because they were still top of the leaderboard. I do like that they are returning to that same style. However, it's clearly gotten a lot more difficult as their placements today have not measured up in the same way as their placements on day one did.
And that's often what we see, right? We always talk about that day one not being 100% the best indicator because oftentimes teams haven't found their groove yet. They haven't figured out the entire lobby, and every time you've got the different groups facing off, it's a little bit different. Well, now they've already played against each other. They've had a few match days under their belt, and things have started to settle, and those teams that we were expecting to stand out are doing so, and you kind of have to find your spot within those set squads.
Catwall being used by Empire is extremely aggressive. Arctic doesn't counter a locked door, but it's still enough for Empire to get inside this building. I see it now. Not looking for the fight, but looking for the safer position. A bet as to where this end zone will be. Empire eat a lot of nades and a lot of damage for this, but it's not worth pushing for the team below them. Nobody feels too confident yet, and Empire certainly confident in taking a lot of space.
It worked out well for them. They've now got some good vantage points onto the teams below. They've got this height that they can work. Some off angles for nice shot out of Arctic, taking out Nasky instantly as soon as they land, thinking they could potentially be safe. 07 will have to try and get a little bit of a reset there. But I mean, now Empire have really made a statement, and I don't think anyone's going to be pushing up on them anytime soon.
07 get the respawn immediately. The power of playing crypto makes it very simple to pick your teammates back up. Empire's position pretty unchallengeable now that they've actually got it, but as this zone is almost done closing, we are really going to see what play around the edge of the map looks like. Checkpoint has got a ring console for much later on. Alliance and ZiPLina Mafia are in there right now. I say that as Alliance watch ZiPLina Mafia leave immediately, picking up WeQ on the way out. And I believe Alliance should be able to get a ring console scan here. Plan their end game, where ZiPLina Mafia will unfortunately be in Reset City, all split up across the map, going in two separate directions just to try and stay alive for as long as possible. I believe FaZe Clan, if I'm reading this right, have the ring console over at Cascade as well. That could be pretty big for them. Nope, this is a survey beacon. Where's my ring console at? Oh, they already got it. That's why the jump tower's there.
Information in hand. You can see ZiPLina Mafia also gathering back together at Cedar Station. They probably will run into FaZe Clan along the way, but we're back in the fight with Killer Whales, who have lost one down to just a duo, trying to stay alive as we've got another team in the mix here, trying to see if they can maybe clean up some KP on top of Passion as Killer Whales are eliminated. Passion down to a duo, and it's going to be EVOS to see if they can maybe clean up the last two.
Open for the last bit of KP. And EVOS, one of the other teams running that aggressive composition. Funny how EVOS and Killer Whales, their game plans have been almost identical in the way that they approached this departure from the Watson composition last game, and now we are jump towering on top of the last couple of kills. Passion cannot catch a break right now, and Ekio surely is going to be spotted out. Alliance have chased ZiPLina Mafia and are chasing them just a little bit further. It is a strident race down past Mill as Passion are going to go down. We'll see how long this last member of ZiPLina Mafia stays alive. A little bit of boost off the Tridents could be it. Diving behind the rocks, but I don't know. I don't know if Alliance get the... Yep, they get the kills. There we go. ZiPLina Mafia are out.
With the PK from a distance. Alliance really wanted to make sure they clean that up. They'll get a little bit of loot, get themselves back inside the ring, and find themselves having mostly open space with the exception of FaZe Clan in the way. Meanwhile, FUL not so much open space here as they're looking to defend this nut building.
Very difficult to defend against that. Citadel, they're gone. They're escorted out. The team's still alive, but that seems to be a temporary effect as... Remember, if you go out this way, you are heading right into FaZe and Alliance. So I don't expect to see Remix Powers alive for too much longer. Alliance starting to move up. This Gibby Trident tactic, as effective as ever.
Just, you know, casual cruising bubbles, moving through space a little bit more safely. Love to see it here. As Alliance are now moving in on the western side. The solo on Citadel did manage to escape. So there's potential for a full reset there, depending on what Citadel Gaming is able to do as we get to see your team that you've been talking about so much take a quick peek in there on FaZe Clan, who are still right outside the next ring. They've made their way safely around on a wider, slower rotate, and they look not in the worst position right now.
Okay, I gotta check the composition, but I'm 90% sure that I'm right here. EVOS, if I'm remembering correctly, can't actually... Yep, they can't even make use of the Jurassic zone. Remember we said that you should be staying in Jurassic late because then you can get ring console scan? Well, they can't. EVOS are last in Jurassic. Anybody would be foaming at the mouth to have the next ring console scan, to know where this zone is going. And EVOS, for all of this placement, can't actually do it. They're going to have to play edge of the zone.
They are our lone Maggie, though.
I mean, they do have Maggie. They do have Maggie, but it's not going to help them. I was trying not to say like chumps, but they kind of have to play like chumps right now. You know, they're sat there and they have absolutely none of the information that they could. The nice thing is that they have Mythic Bin that's just spawned, and taking a look at the zone, looks like getting ring console scan really won't help you that much. It's not like you're going to be sitting in a building. This is 90% water.
Yeah, that's going to be rough for when everyone that's hunkered down has to move out. Even on that the far eastern edge of Barrow. I mean, that'll be interesting as we get to see EVOS getting this mythic. What are they going to get out of it? Oh, a Kraber. Can they put it to use? This will at least give them a little bit of safety as they're going to have to push through a decent amount of teams, no matter which choke they decide to make their move through. Citadel, off in the distance, is able to get that full reset. We were looking to see if they could get it, and they're now moving in.
With Alliance now being pushed out of their safety and into the next zone. They do have Newcastle. Newcastle most picked legend this particular game, by the way, so we won't be seeing this again, but thank God he's around for this zone. I'm curious how Alliance are going to approach this. Just a couple of seconds left on their exit. Let's take a listen and see what their plan looks like.
Let's go after you, heal.
Yep.
Great to open it. I'm a bubble instantly.
Yeah.
Oh, I can get up here. 3, 2, 1 bubbling.
Yep.
Go.
Cool. Yeah.
Go to the other side, Mackie. Nice. Just set the car as well.
You can put it on this side though.
Yeah. Just put one on instantly. Look not down.
40 on him.
Nice. Go
I'm below. I'm below.
Watch out.
Yeah.
I got shot in my ass.
Carry.
Yeah, I'm set.
Sounds like a bubble.
I'm killing once. Don't damage.
Who's shooting?
Height and not. I'm popping sound.
Shoot back now.
Yeah, I'm just popping sound. You get shit.
Yeah, I got 1 second. I bubble now. We're getting a cap on us as well.
Okay. Fight.
The nice exit from Alliance is pretty clean, and you'll notice they did identify their threats, right? They got height building, they got nut building, and they just got to be making sure to shoot back and show a little bit of presence. The game plan for Alliance pretty clear from here. It's the other teams that I'm worried about. Those squads that are approaching from the north. We are seeing Calamitous with the Kraber knock take Flyte. So north side of the zone is already looking chaotic, Glitter.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting to see how it gets handled because a lot of these teams are also stacked on top of or next to each other in these buildings. 07 taking out SPS will be just the beginning of all of these teams that are about to be felled. The zone, we've gotten to see the next ring also has shifted one more time aggressively, and that'll be interesting to see how this ends up favoring some of those teams that are on the eastern side of the next ring. Legion Gaming, though, one of those squads that is right near Citadel. You've got Take Flight on the outside, and they're gonna have to start going for a move. They decide to bring the fight straight to Take Flight.
Not a bad idea if you can clean this team out. It is just clearing your back. Like Graceful had mentioned earlier, Calamitous has the portal to back off, doesn't need it as he gets Sampe to back him up. And Take Flight go down. ONIC joining them. 2 squads eliminated in a very short amount of time, but this does not solve the problem. How do Legion actually continue? With Rampart still in this game, Newcastle's good, but Newcastle is only so good.
They did it quickly enough to at least not draw too much attention as we get to see how UAIM is looking to move in safely to their next spot. Pretty well done here. Not challenged by anybody just yet, as they do have Roadhouse right off to the side, but no good angles for Roadhouse to take, so they aren't going to be pushing that fight yet. Meanwhile, FaZe Clan have fully moved in. They're on top of FUL right outside this nut building, that being one of the teams that Alliance was also keeping their eyes on. And FaZe have managed to create some space for themselves here, which will also force FUL to stay inside, but they can afford to do that right now, at least for this next ring.
If you've got nut building, you're safe. Like we said, if you are anyone else, and especially if you are Citadel right now, you are not. Even Legion, who just took them out, have to be worried about a third party. And you see the reset very nervously taking place on the low ground. SJP2 find a small spot to play, one that actually will age pretty well. And Empire on the low ground going to do the same thing, but this Newcastle wall is not it. And unfortunately, now they've got no safety as they face up against SJP2. Cybercats go down. Arctic with a Skynade does find a lot of damage. Is it enough to climb off of? Nom are going to fall. 11 squads left, and Empire do decide to climb. They want to get rid of SJP2, and they don't even need to climb onto height to do it.
I mean, the nade was enough to at least keep them away. Some third-party action came through, but it does not go unpunished. Legion still surviving on this southern side as Empire are eliminated. Legion have managed to survive that chaos and are actually going to be able to move in now pretty much uncontested, as you get to see a couple more of these squads now on that southern side, all clustering up here. 07, UAIM, Roadhouse, having to scooch in very soon.
Roadhouse taking the fight right now. Their game plan is what we've got to be focused on. They have so much staying power. Taking out 07. This is good. They've, as we said, cleared their backs. But how do they rotate into the next zone? That's the big question that I don't see the answer to. With Gibby, with Newcastle, with Rampart, how do you close the distance?
Honestly, that's the same question that Alliance are going to be facing. Now that the ring is closing, you can see FUL's getting a rest here, but we've got quite a few of these teams, the nut building squads as well. Everyone having to move in. FaZe Clan, FUL, having this back and forth. FUL not able to get that reset. FaZe Clan will take them out, clear that western side, and Alliance have moved in directly ahead of them, so FaZe's next stop will be Alliance.
And FaZe slam right next to them. Alliance turn around, but it's only a duo from FaZe that's actually managed to close the distance. Meanwhile, we've got Roadhouse and Endorse fighting on the other side. Everybody just clamoring for a bit of zone. EVOS are going to fall. And Alliance starts swinging on to FaZe. Taking out the nearest team, the most proximal squad. Nags gets forced out. FaZe get forced out. And Alliance, unchallenged now on the other side of this rock, have the zone and a little bit of a corner to play, and that is enough.
Honestly, great decision by Alliance to move just the tiniest bit north and give themselves a little bit of breathing room while Roadhouse and Endorse are going back and forth. Opens up the opportunity for Alliance to third party. You can see Unlucky on top of the rock doing just that. Endorse is eliminated and Roadhouse somehow survived with all three so far. But that means Legion Gaming and UAIM have been also having their own fight on the other side. Will this rock be what gives Alliance another win?
It is Alliance and Roadhouse, two titans in very different ways that have to be our next matchup to focus. Alliance still have a Trident Gibby rotate available to them. Roadhouse should as well. Alliance expend a bit of utility to try and take them out. It doesn't quite work. UAIM, however, go down, leaving us with just 3 squads. And that means, Glitter, that Legion have the most space in the lobby. We're very focused on this Roadhouse Alliance, but Legion silently could win this game if either team misplays.
And you can see from this top down that there's solo 2-1 split here for Legion Gaming. Really good off angle for Blooming Flower. And that means that Alliance don't have as clear of a move in as they would have liked. Like you said, they do have a little bit of Trident bubble rotation here at their disposal, but it's actually Roadhouse that move all the way over to the Legion Gaming solo. Force him out. Now Alliance stayed where they were. They've pushed in on Legion Gaming. This means Roadhouse could be the final third party.
Unlucky is dealing damage and he's not taking any back. This is a big problem for Legion, who have now been sandwiched by the double Trident rotate. Alliance and Roadhouse got to make the play that made them untouchable, and now they've put Legion Gaming in a no-win situation. Sheila comes out, but there's just not any space to play. Roadhouse are on one side, Alliance are on the other, and in between, Legion are getting cooked. Forced down onto the low ground. Legion do go down ultimately to Alliance, leaving Roadhouse with the high ground and a bubble onto Alliance's face. They've got second bubble. We've seen Gibby metas. That means Roadhouse have the advantage, and Roadhouse can take this game away from Alliance.
Roadhouse? Roadhouse!
That's what I'm talking about, baby.
We asked, was this going to be the snowball? We said there was so much aggressive potential, and they did the right thing. Yeah, again, this is what they did in the last match. They were in the final top 3. They had space, and they didn't force it. You mentioned the double bubble rotate, but Roadhouse did not move in. They didn't take the fight to Legion. They allowed Alliance to do that, and it ended up once again being the reason they won. And it wasn't the same level of slaying this time around, but it doesn't matter because we have seen 3 back-to-back insanely strong performances out of them, Dia. This is a team to be reckoned with.
Dude, that was... I'm having a good time casting these games. I tell you what, the head-to-head off of that last game with Roadhouse winning does still have them, funnily enough, with more damage overall because they spent more time in the middle of zone. That's really important to note. We talked about how Roadhouse did not have ring console scan to start the game. I don't think they got ring console scan at a single point in that game. They raw guessed the zone based on how everyone else was moving, got to a good spawn barometer, and made it work with, again, a composition that does not rotate. The fact that they got a Trident in that end game, crazy to make the double bubble rotate. And I think you can tell from my inflection right now that I have too much to say. I'm kind of losing my mind over here, Glitter.
I love it. I'm here for it. When we came into the split, we did a very quick touching, even, you know, on the new roster that is now Roadhouse, right? And wanted to see, were we going to get the performance out of that trio that we knew that they could deliver on? And I think today is a perfect example of that.
It is. This is good macro and it's good micro at the same time. We've been on their POV when finishing fights. They've got really good awareness of when to use cooldowns. That Gibby bubble, like we mentioned in the end game, knowing ours is going to last just that little bit longer. This is going to clean up the fight for us very easily, and we can pressure for the win even against a 3-stack that hasn't lost anybody. I mean, this is good game awareness in the end game. It's clearly good macro on the way in. I don't know where Roadhouse's weakness is right now. It just might be on another day.
Well, I'm having a great time. Stormpoint has started off with a bang, and Roadhouse is absolutely crushing it in our series. But we still have 2 more matches on the day left to go, so we're going to send it to a short break. And when we return, match number 5, so don't go anywhere.
Looks like I'm last man standing. At least I lasted longer than...
Anything you can do, I can do better.
Great. Paranoid weirdo.
Try and keep up, old man.
I can do anything better than you. No, you can't. Yes, I can. No, you can't. Yes, I can. No, you can't. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Hey, Max, these are boys koalas?
Bring it on, you clog, Danny. Call me Salvo's metal finger.
Always the straight FaZe pilot. Have some fun.
Worry not. I will enjoy this.
Red Bull is the official energy drink of the Apex Legends Global Series. Welcome back to EMEA here on match day number 4, where we've just finished our 4th match of the day, and we are about to be heading into our 5th graceful. A very exciting finish for Roadhouse as they claim yet another victory. Let's take a look at how they did that one more time, because I know you enjoyed that final circle.
Yeah, I mean, it was phenomenal because even before this point, they had to make that Gibby bubble play on the Trident to push the last team into Alliance, right? And Legion Gaming getting pushed from that god spot, essentially. Got overtaken because they only left one guy out there. And when it comes to bubble fighting, we already know Aqua's been putting in work today. Loof, Gan, Blast, all of them on the same page, shooting the same people, taking them all down. But it really comes to show that, you know, if you have that presence of mind of making these decisions of, hey, we're in the worst spot right now, let's just opt for the best spot and see if we can find our way in there and put the other team in a pinch. Worked out for them phenomenally. 2 back-to-back wins right there is huge with the this time, but 7 is really good. Now heading into the next Stormpoint game, I am so excited. However, most of these plays where they set up early in spots are not going to be as easily available or accessible anymore now that Newcastle is banned. So that's going to be interesting to see, yeah.
Yeah, the Newcastle ban we did predict, right? He's just such a high value pick when it comes to Stormpoint, and especially in that last zone we saw, Newcastle was the saving grace for a lot of teams. The only real counter to that being the fact that we had so much Rampart that at least Newcastle got kept honest. This time, it is just Rampart. We have got firepower on firepower on firepower, and it's much harder to set up. I'm really curious how this affects Gibby priority, because we are seeing Gibby raise up in prio. And while I mentioned the potential issues of Roadhouse's composition not having a rotational legend, which is what Aku was playing in their previous matches, it seems like Gibby is filling that role. Just as long as you have a Trident, it's arguably better than a Wraith or an Ashport.
I mean, yeah, the Trident with the Gibby bubble play is huge, but we're also seeing a lot of Catalyst right now, which essentially does the same thing, although a little bit less safe, because you can still shoot through walls, like the cat walls, comparatively to, you know, maybe it's a little bit harder to get through a Newcastle wall and or a Gibby bubble, obviously. But that cat wall can extend the safety net for a lot of teams and even push other teams into other teams just by using that one ult without needing to show their teeth too much, just by holding their wall. So we're probably gonna see some interesting plays from there. But however, we talked about Mad Maggie. Is this a is this a, what should I say, foresight to the patch to come, where people are now starting to prep a little bit of Mad Maggie play potentially? It makes me happy because I feel like Mad Maggie is such a fun character to play. Not too scary to play, you know, against, unless you get double drilled behind your only one safe spot. But it's always fun to see that Maggie ball fly, because sometimes you hit 50 enemies, sometimes you hit your own teammate. You know, it's always a surprise.
I think you're right on the money here, Graceful. With Roadhouse already having won 2 games, it only makes sense that they take this opportunity not to play safe with the Catalyst, as a lot of teams have gone, but to start preparing for what could be a very strong pick yet to come in the Maggie. I'm noticing that Roadhouse, notably this game, have a ring console at nil. An advantage that they did not have last game, that they still ended up winning without. So the fact that they've got ring console here now makes me very curious as to what they'll end up playing. Endorse have also got one over at Barometer. Legion managed to hit one over at Cenote, and we're even fighting over some of the ones at Echo HQ with EVOS and Killer Whale. Yeah, we've got another Maggie already whipped out. EVOS with the first knock are going to take at least one member of Killer Whales with them. We'll see what else they can do, as Nate does go low, but importantly does not go down.
I mean, Killer Whales is one of those teams that people were like a little bit scared, depending on scrims to scrim. Some people have been scared of them because they're really strong at fighting, but today in these matches they have been caught lacking and losing fights consistently. I hope to see them turn it around potentially later on in the next game perhaps, but that's definitely not a start that you want to begin with.
Micey picking up a knock as well. Cybercats are a bit late to the fight, and Cybercats also not known this split for their constant 3v3 fighting on edge in the same way that EVOS and Killer Whales have done. Instead, Cybercats, a much more zone-oriented team, are going to back off onto Coastal Camp to get the ring console scan and bring them over back to Papa. Roadhouse, you bet. They are right in the middle of this next zone. We are going Barometer once again, guys.
Another zone. Well, it's not repetitive because this does look like it could pull a little bit differently, which I'm more than happy with, because that zone right next to the cannon is fun to play. Not so much, you know, it's very hard to look at sometimes because teams don't really end up clashing too much unless it's a collapse of where the bridge or a certain area isn't in. Now we will see a little bit more, perhaps maybe towards Bamboo even would be really cool, but I think this will pull much further south. Some of these zones is just so interesting to see how they evolve, because teams end up going more mid-speed compared to early because there's just not nearly as much safe area to play.
If you do want to play mid-speed, by the way, time to point out some POIs that have good ring consoles. Cenote, Mill, Cedo Station, Cascade, all great places to rotate through if you're looking for Ring 3 information before anything else. And SPS, I think, are trying to decide exactly what they want right now. They've got an idea that everybody's already in Barometer. Yeah. And the world is their oyster. Do they want to hard commit to Barometer with the Trident? Yeah, you can kind of do that. Or do you want to go and try and play out of Cenote? It's a difficult time to make that call because it has to be early. You can't be delaying this by 1 or 2 minutes.
I feel like at that point you might be better off to play in the southeast choke, honestly, by Coastal Cap choke, but opposite of the choke right now, Roadhouse looking to make plays right here as they're fighting Flyte, I believe. Lufka already out, but they do have the banner, but it's gonna be very hard to make a play with this potentially if they are getting inted here. Doesn't seem like that's the case, as both teams are licking their wounds, making sure that potentially they can get a reset here. Yes, fights will evolve, as you said. Earlier on, fights are fine, but the later we get into it, the more teams are coming in with this rotation, it's going to be harder to take these fights because then you're opening up for a 3P.
And here I was wondering if they had a movie. Of course they do.
Of course they do.
Everybody going to be back to full. Roadhouse prepared. Again, in the center of Barometer. Take Flyte, find a respawn of their own. So as everybody backs off, really all we've traded is a few points and a bit of Evo back and forth, importantly. Lufka gets back in, does almost get taken down, unfortunately, but we take the win. He lived, and that's what matters.
I mean, it is scary indeed now when you hear the scouts, you see the charge rifle in the kill feed, you hear the Peters, you know, it's not, even though it's literally just a straight drop down into your building, you can still get taken out really quick. Very scary. ONIC, however, scared indeed as EVOS is collapsing on them right now. Even though we see walls come out, it does not matter because Knight catches up to them immediately with that increased mobility with the shotgun out as that character. When the buff comes, actually, it's not only shotguns anymore, which is very interesting. It's also SMGs and pistols, I believe. So that's going to be fun to see. Mad Maggie action, always happy to see that.
Yeah, getting more and more versatile. With the Peacekeepers at, I imagine we'll continue seeing her with oh no, 07 are landing, and it is occupied. Nicely done of them to call that off. I don't know what the comms were here, and honestly, it doesn't matter nearly as much as the fact they got it right.
I mean, I'm happy that they didn't drop down there because they would have dropped down into Blooming Flower Sheila behind wall. That would have been instant death for whoever landed down there. Zone seems to be pulling a little bit more on the southeastern side now compared to the central side of what we saw last game. So that's going to be interesting. Playing that watery area down there. SPS sitting underneath the bridge is in a good spot to play from here, as long as they can hold this out. And this is something we always keep talking about, is holding out your back when the zone closes, because ZiPLina Mafia at some point will probably be out before SPS, and then it comes down to where do they go. A lot of the times you tend to see, are teams gonna try to evac in for a YOLO spot, or are they gonna take a fight on us, or are they gonna go fight on other side so where we can 3P them? That's where all the fun is to watch, in my opinion.
This next zone drawing us even further into Barometer. The teams that were able to get this information are Citadel, Empire, Alliance, Legion, and Cybercats.
Oh,
EVOS, not one of the recipients of that information, but of course, they're taking another fight. And while MG does go down, Nate perhaps soon to follow. Cracked does swing the door to try and cover this. Zidane backs off. But EVOs have to retain their numbers advantage, and Zidane healing on the low ground could cause a problem there. Cracked doesn't see him right underneath all of EVOs, but they are going to get the res. Again, retain the numbers advantage and go hunting for the very last member.
I'm just gonna say it right there. I think everybody in chat was wondering, why is CJ looking at that direction? Apex sound right there. He thought he was there, but he was all the way down below. So he got out there with that TP. Zidane is very happy about that, getting out of that uncomfortable zone. So yeah, I mean, zone didn't hurt too much, but it's enough to be pressuring you. So he got out. That's very nice. Alliance, however, set up in a neat spot right here, actually. Very happy with this, as the zone is not too close, not too far, but more than adaptable, because if too many fights happen up north on the platform, they could 3P that potentially, and if it happens on the south with ZiPLina Mafia and SPS like we talked about earlier, they could 3P that and have an entire southern side to themselves. So it's going to be interesting to see how this game plays out, because these teams that we've been seeing today, Alliance, Roadhouse specifically, all of them have been very consistently getting into endgame and making a huge splash, and this is exactly why. They're in a spot to where they're just waiting for opportunities to happen, and then they immediately act on them.
And this is a good bet from Alliance. There are zones that pull over towards them, and like you talked about, it's a very flexible position. They get the best of both worlds. A good chance at getting endgame God spot, and even if it's not theirs, a good chance at rotating into somebody else and making their life a little miserable, much like Empire's trying to do right now. The PK and the charge up close. Livin doesn't find a knock, but they don't get knocked either. So Empire reset on the outside here, play a little defensively with the Catalyst, and are going to go for the fight again. This is risky, but it's worth it if you're able to find the kills. ONIC, unfortunately, will not live to see the next circle as they get taken out by FaZe. FaZe were now positioned in Jurassic.
I mean, this is a freaky fight to take in the lead, because you see other teams as well waiting on them. Flyte opted to disengage for now. It's going to be a straight 3v3 here. Empire, are they going to take it or not? They are looking for some angles with nades, pushing them out a little bit. But you already know it, I know it, everybody at home who has been playing ranked knows it. If you just peek a little bit too hard and you get jiggle peek but triple PK, it doesn't matter how good you are at the game, you will immediately fall down on all four. However, we're seeing some patience here, which is good. They're opting to say, hey, is anybody walking up with the zone? Because, well, we know it, but they don't know it. Other teams are actually very nearby, even FaZe on the northeast side, opting to maybe go into them late. Everybody's just waiting, as I always say. When the zone is closing, the last couple of seconds before you see the next zone, very pivotal moment. You have to look for it to see, where does the zone go? Do we need to fight now or not?
Looking like a pretty good spot for Empire. We're waiting on the outside, but like you talked about, haven't really been able to find a safe place to take this fight from. Arctic searching for it again. Remember, the zone's going to pull everybody a little further to the south. We're going into Barometer, and you've got to cross some distance. Even with Ash, that could be difficult.
Yeah, most definitely. But speaking of difficult, I'd like to see how things are leading, because now as we see the next zone, Roadhouse also sees the next zone. They are indeed in. Are they going to hold out their backs, or are they going to opt to move deeper because they are seeing and scouting ahead and they're starting to move outside of their house? I want to take a little bit of inspiration from them and see what they're thinking. So let's have a listen in with Roadhouse.
Good. It's fine. It's going to be fine. I'm popping here. Reset. I'm tapping.
Someone, bro.
Yeah. I'm just gonna top, okay?
Running up, hinting us.
What the fuck?
Like, why the fuck would we not try them?
I mean, this is fucking retarded.
This is retarded. We just, it's fine. So not affect us, but we
no,
okay.
And sometimes, looking for that inspiration, you find despair as they immediately fall down going up that slope. And sometimes when that happens, you go back to VOD review, you try to figure out what happened. Did we go too early? Did we just get shredded going up that slope? Or did we not see the team that was waiting up above them?
SJP2 were very, very ready to jump on that. And it showed. SJP2 have been a very aggressive squad. But even to see them doing that, pretty wild, and it's changing the game. It's changing the whole lobby, as with Roadhouse down before they even hit top 15. That'll be no points for Roadhouse except for the 1 KP they were able to collect. EVOS, however, collecting KP after KP after KP. We're going to help move cybercats on out of the lobby. Wait till the next round, but EVO's absolutely a team to watch with how many kills they've been able to collect this game.
It's been a breath of fresh air seeing that Mad Maggie run it down on people, and I love every single second of it. However, take Flyte right now, looking to sit bounce onto Miosen right here, but he gets caught by Beamsy from behind. They have a good angle crossfire out there. Could have actually made, yeah, they stopped the push due to that one angle, and that's really good. And this is why it's so important to not sometimes all of you to be in the same location where you just have to look in one direction. When you have that crossfire lined up, it actually stops that push, which actually helped them maybe not get caught. So that's very nice to see.
A spot from Empire. Honestly, not ideal. What I'm looking at, however, is two things. Spot of the Mythic Crate and the next zone pull. Remember we talked about Alliance's early rotate and the fact that they picked a very flexible spot? Well, now they've got a spot that is right on the edge of the next zone and looking even further into the future on top of the next one as well. They, SPS and ZiPLina Mafia, but realistically, I am really looking at Alliance here.
I mean, not only that, but we can't really see it on the minimap, but if you guys know this area as well as I do, you have the triple bins outside that's actually in if they can hold the northern side, or you can actually play the tunnel that's close to the platform where the zone ends. It's a great spot for Alliance to make some plays happen here. They even light up the kill feed a little bit as well. However, northern side, Empire Gaming, as we saw, have a couple of teams to get by. I believe it was FUL, Take Flyte is in that direction, but there's also teams to the east that have to make their way in. It's gonna be a huge collapse to the northeast side, actually.
Take Flyte are going to get to reset on this low ground as Alliance keep Empire off their backs. We're already seeing some kills start to be collected by Alliance's squads scramble for a spot in the zone. Got a lot of teams from the north side. Endorse, 07, UAIM, EVOS, NOM, FaZe. All of whom could very well go down in the next few seconds as the ring's already started to close, and FaZe send it on the Trident rotate, but Nags does get taken down on the way. EVOS are going to try and do exactly the same thing on foot as FaZe lose more. And maybe going down entirely. ZiPLina Mafia will bite the dust first, and EVOS cover their tracks with the Bangalore ultimate. I like this proactive move. Expend the ultimate, get a little closer to Citadel. A weakened Citadel who did not see EVOS coming. Stinger Bolt in response. Will Passion go down? EVOS are just taking out squad after squad after squad. Citadel only the most recent to be checked off the list.
Great macro right there from EVOS, making that play into Citadel, who was weakened, as you said. Did not see them or catch them running into water. But now on the opposite side of water, Empire Gaming managed to move to the other platform where they're in for the moment. Very happy with this. Looking to see if they can get some KPs before potentially moving down and setting up a little bit down beneath. They might have to just use that catwall late to make sure that they live, or they have to 3P potentially down to the east where a bunch of fighting is happening, because we see at least 5 teams needing to fight next zone closing, and Empire being probably the second to first team to move, maybe because their zone is right on their butts. It's gonna be hard.
There is no Newcastle in this lobby.
Yeah.
We have to be looking at 2 cooldowns, Catalyst Walls and Gibby Bubbles. Those are the things that will save teams for a few extra seconds, especially as the next zone gets revealed. SPS are angling out EVOS and just taking him out. Nice shot by Temuchi.
Huge Kraber shot by Temuchi, feeling really good. SPS been playing this spot by the bridge, holding this essentially end game from second 1 of the game. They've been holding here the entire game, now looking to get some KP. Very good for them, being 15th currently on the leaderboard, looking to pick up some kills. Alliance in a spot to where they are trying to hold other teams out. Empire makes that catwall a little bit early, knowing that there's a team underneath them potentially. They saw them earlier. Alliance, though, like I said before, these bins are safe. The tunnel next to them is safe. Are feeling really good about this endgame.
This is even looking like these bins are safe for next zone if we trust their minimap. UAIM are going to go down, but Alliance may have to do very little, expend very few cooldowns to stay alive. Nam will not get that privilege, being taken down. And Empire, who used their Catalyst Wall early, get sent and taken out by Endorse. Alliance look for a few extra kills off the back of that, but don't end up finding them. In fact, retreats back to safety. The priority of Alliance is winning this game. Endorse will fall, taken out by FUL. 07 and SPS stare each other down on the eastern side of the ring as 07 are forced into FUL slowly but surely. Natsuki's gonna discover them right now. Peacekeeper shot to the face takes out Myosin, and 07 are making quick work of FUL, even stopping by for the finisher. Natsuki very low, whips out the G7 at range, doesn't get the shield swap and goes down to the Stinger Bolt, and we've got a third party from Alliance that is all over them. Unlucky tosses out the barrage as Effect sits back and keeps the team safe. It's a nice extension from ultimately Alliance that keeps them safe. FUL and 07 out, 3 teams left. Take Flyte, SPS, and Alliance.
Huge 3P from Alliance here, managed to secure a couple more KP right there. Zone actually ends really close to them. They can just play underneath that platform, and as long as they can hold and force the other teams to fight, they're looking for a very clean 3P into the 8 end game to potentially close out the game. However, SPS on the other side of the things are a full team. The other team that you said, take Flyte, I'm not too sure that they're actually a full team. I believe they're a duo, or looking to just hope that they get second potentially, but that shouldn't realistically happen.
You take Flyte, I'm just gonna confirm that, are a duo, and they've got Catalyst and Ash. No Sparrow, who was their third. So a lot of mobility, a lot of safety, a lot of stall. Oh, Alliance, they're not waiting for the other 2 teams to fight. They are getting aggressive now. Hack is just using a lot of utility and ultimately finding a knock. He's going to open things up, but with Effect being taken down, Unlucky goes for the bubble res, leaving Take Flyte on the low ground to try and finish off SPS. This could be the very thing that wins Alliance the game. Out comes the stall. Catalyst Wall buys Take Flyte a few more seconds. A second place here would be fantastic for them as in comes Hackers and the squad from high ground. Unlucky finds another kill and another. It is Take Flyte and SPS that melt in the face of Alliance, who come up and claim their own second win of the day.
I mean, phenomenal play from Alliance right there. Even the trade, when they had that much space, they could reset very reliably, which ends up them, SPS, getting pushed into Take Flyte, so it was a 2v2 down there, and now they get to close out the game essentially for free after that trade. Really nice play from Alliance, holding that spot from very early. However, we can't take away from Take Flyte. They were a duo. I thought they would get almost caught out immediately if they got found. However, that down on SPS opened it up for him to get second place, which they're probably happy with. 3 kills, not that much. 9 placement points, though. Very good.
Yeah, this was academically the right play from Take Flyte.
Yeah.
They notice that there's a down on the one team in front of them. They go, all right, let's go for this. It's our best shot. And again, really good stall from them. Alliance's 7 kill points is going to keep them in the conversation around the top spot, but I don't think it'll be enough to actually take over from Roadhouse so far today. Alliance has got to have another one of these in their bag in order to push them into the #1 spot on the leaderboard. Compared to Take Flight and SPS, all around similar numbers. Like you said, Take Flight having to play a little bit more passive as a duo. Didn't get quite as much damage, quite as many kills. But looking at the overall results, after 5 games, Roadhouse do in fact still lead the pack. That game from Alliance not quite enough to push them up to first place. 6 points between they and Roadhouse. EVOS coming up right behind. And EVOS, I think a big surprise to be top 3 with the way that they have been playing. They are getting a lot of kill points. Not that many placements, but it doesn't seem to matter to them, Graceful.
I mean, honestly, does it matter when you're that confident in fighting and they're closing out fight after fight, running it down and just chasing people? I love to see it because that confidence is really what you need. And you also have to realize that when we're playing groups versus groups, before we in like grand finals on a LAN, it's all about filling out the lobby and making sure that you can do the best play for this current moment. You're in this match right now. What can I do to, if I'm stronger than every team, I'm running at every team. If every team is playing edge, well then I'm getting free god spot in the end, in the early circle. So like you just have to adapt into these matches and into these lobbies as well, and then make it happen. And you know, speaking of making it happen, we'll have to see what happens coming up leading into later on. We'll take a short break for now, but we'll be right back with you.
Need a breather, Wally. Should I slow down?
Ah, now that's a work of art right there.
Of course you think that. You've got one bloody eye.
Uh-oh. Just walk it off. Yeah, you'll be all right. Oh, guess not.
Putting my heart out there.
Wrecking ball's fired up, literally, cunt.
Some days it's just too easy.
Finally, thought it'd never shut up.
Well, funny thing about a wild card, they always turn up again.
Well, Graceful, we are on the road to declaring a champion for match day number 4 here in EMEA. And right now, it is a tight race. Only 6 points separating Alliance and Roadhouse, with Roadhouse in the lead. Both teams have 2 wins so far, and last game belonged to Alliance. And I want to take a look at how it happened.
I mean, seeing this was phenomenal. You know, they played this they played that house very early. They were very happy with the fact that the bins was in even this zone, as we see the bins right there with the ramp walls on the far west side. They're just spamming utility right now. They managed to get it down here, And that actually opens up for Flyte to take it to a 2v2 versus SPS on the low ground. After effect goes down, does not matter because Unlucky is ready there with the reset on the bubble from the Gibby. This makes it into an easy cleanup with the 3P from height to down below. And that's just a phenomenal way of closing out games. And you have to understand that sometimes we like to say that, you know, all it was that to 3P the last fight to close out the games. There are plenty of teams that are having hard times closing out these games that they should be winning, but they can't. But Alliance is not one of them. They always manage to close out their games.
And we saw that with a lot of the conservative play that Alliance gave us in the last couple of rings, not extending until they were sure they were the last third party. It's what's gotten them the 2 wins so far. Roadhouse right in the middle. You notice the KP from Roadhouse is the real big difference maker between these two squads. At the moment, this 6th and final game of the day will have no Rampart to give us both the extra damage and the little bit of safety that even Alliance was relying on to survive into the late stages of the game. Who do you replace Rampart with? I anticipate we're seeing a lot of catalysts still. Ashe still very much priority, and it seems like Gibby is the pick of the day, but we'll find out as we head into game number 6.
I mean, I'm happy if you pick up Gibby, I'm happy if you pick up Catalyst, because I always like to see those end games play out, because it really has a good impact into games when you see legend change-ups in the compositions. When you add Catalyst to that mix, all end games is immediately vastly different. The team that, like, if you didn't have Catalyst, the team that was in the worst spot typically ends up dying or inting a team. But when you add Catalyst to that mix, all of a sudden the team in the worst spot can extend their duration of not being, well, of being safe for longer. And now all of a sudden the teams that don't have Catalyst are forced to take fights earlier because the wall is up for that long. It just mixes things up so, like, unpredictably, and it's so much fun.
Welcome to match number 6. It is our time to decide who's coming out on top of today. Or rather, it is these teams' time to declare who will take the crown for the final game of match day number 4. And ultimately, of the match day overall, Alliance just those 6 points behind and starting where they are comfortable. I'm going to add to that, they have been playing this POI up by Northpad or Trident for many, many splits. Everybody's been afraid to challenge them. It is no surprise that they got it here. And very familiar with the macro coming out of this area, you'll notice that they are also in Ring 1.
I mean, that's the scary part, is that when you have a POI that you're willing to fight, die, and even lose for if that ends up happening, but when you have the powerhouses of Hakis mechanically, with Effect, with Unlucky, all of them very strong mechanically, and they're willing to take any fight at you, are you as a team that doesn't have that POI all the time willing to take those gambles of not being able to play out those games and potentially getting a donut? That's not what many teams are willing to do. Even on LAN, we've seen a lot of these powerhouses across, because those teams are powerhouses for a reason. Now, seeing this zone, however, pull more in towards down B's, very interesting to say, because the Lions, so far as we've seen in the other games, have been playing, I would like to say mid speed, but even slower, and almost edge play, I would say, to the degree of almost edge play.
And if they really want to do that this game, Alliance can just sit North Path for a while. Because they've got Ring Console there, they can play for Zone 3 knowledge and beyond from this POI. They don't have to move. Unlike Killer Whales and EVOS, who, surprise, surprise, just kidding, no one is surprised. They're fighting each other once again on the south side of the map. Coastal Camp, the place to be. And remember, cybercats showed up late here last time. I'd bet the cybercats, I think we saw them on the map, are already starting to move up so as to not miss out on any kills they might have collected in game number 5.
Cybercats, cats currently licking their mouth because they are ready to jump in at any meal that shows up for them. However, Killer Whales have been struggling right now, but it is actually EVOS that catches the backs right there. Cybercat catches them right behind them and gets MG Clutch down right there. Killer Whales is going to be very happy because they are currently sitting in 20th, hoping to potentially get some KP, because right now, if you're in 20th, you need to drop an absolute nuke to make it back anywhere, because they're currently sitting on 2 points. They need to drop like 40 bombs.
But just like that, the elimination of EVOS is huge. This team was in 3rd place, and they're gone in 20th for the final game. We'll see how far they fall.
Oh, no.
Cybercats already hoping for a little bit more. May just take out EVOS and also take out Killer Whales. With the knocks going as they are so far, Lifeline not going to do them a whole lot of good, as Zeus on white shields runs from Alonzi and Ranges, but does not make it very far. Bongo the last alive, and Killer Whales will fall. The Cybercats, the Shrew Predators down here in the south side of Storm Point. The punch finishes him off. Killer Whales are out, and Cybercats are on the prowl.
Killer Whales had been struggling this entire match. Hopefully they get to pick it back up again in the future. Now, FaZe Clan fighting ONIC, I believe, sipping on them. Cinetic, even with this amount of HP where he can get one pump, does not shy away from a fight, as he almost catches JQ right there underneath him. We'll have to see how this fight takes out, but one of them already managed to get out, potentially getting a reset if he also falls right here.
Now that Zane is here, I don't think.
Oh, never mind. One did not get out. He got killed. I'm so sorry.
Their death boxes littering the floor by Stormcatcher. And I'm sure Passion wondering what on earth went on up there. FaZe Clan, another one of the teams that had managed to get the same POI that they played last time. They landed Lightning Rod in last AB match. Now they get Lightning Rod again, and this time managed to make it work to the tune of some early KP. But Stormpoint really has not been their map. They started off really well in match number 1, making it pretty far. But since then, FaZe have had a difficult time controlling where and when they fall. Notably, Alliance have chosen to take a riskier path. Remember we mentioned they could stay up by North Pad, could play for third Rain Beacon? They didn't end up doing that.
I mean, sometimes you kind of question it as well. Do they have enough resources to stay here potentially? It's the real question, because we're used to seeing that on purple armors and ready to fight anything and everything. But when they're in triple blue, it's going to be a little bit different. But walking in early as well, when you have spots that, well, when you have someone to pulls into down Bs, has a lot of room to make plays like this, because it's very easy to have your own space there. I feel like when you have a spot, the space that you have is a lot larger than, as an example, if you fight around the building area where the only space you really have realistically is the building. In down Bs, you have way more space, so good workout.
Empire Gaming's spot by the gazebos up north of downed Beast, not a terrible one. It is a little bit more of a edge guarding position than anything else, though. We don't see a lot of end zones here. Empire will want to be playing small enough that they don't get shot in the back from downed Beast, but big enough that they're actually able to collect kills that might come out of checkpoint or even wall.
That's a scary point about these donuts, is that if you try to posture up too much or hold out your backs, you get shot from other angles. And you kind of have to hope, if you are committing to holding out the team that is walking up on you, is that the team that is in down base, or even in that compound underneath down base right there, where I believe Legion Gaming could be right now, is you have to hope that they are currently in a fight or looking at another team, because if not, you're going to get shot in your back. And when you have this current strength of the weapons of the likes of Charge Rifle and Peter, it's going to be really hard. However, they are sitting very comfortably in the next zone, as it indeed does pull the down Bs. A lot of these teams are very happy that already have these select few spots, as other teams will have to fight for something. We see the likes of Endorse and UAIM currently sitting in the south, needing to hold out other teams, or are they going to opt to rotate?
Absolutely sure that Endorse got ring 3 scan. 07, not so lucky up in checkpoint, but they may inherit a few KP for their trouble. And the low ground Myosin is one shot. Let's take a listen with 07, see how they approach the fight.
Jumping. Okay, I'm jumping.
Got
Jumping two.
I've got the Reno.
Spare on me, spare one on me.
HP.
I'm sending him.
Send. Finish. Come on me.
We're
going to you.
Nice.
Let's go. Reset, and let's place again. Back on top. Good job.
Shit, boys.
Really good play.
Good fucking job. Nice knock, man. That was so good, Adam.
Do we got the cheese?
I can go.
One squad close still. Just kind of play together now. Like, don't...
There's a drone. Oh, that's yours.
There's zero teams around.
Okay,
it's free.
I
think I'm gonna do...
Good awareness from Nasky right there, as he was actually just looking for that one guy who was running around the pillar. Did a little bit of movement, but closed out that fight very neatly.
And with EVOS now eliminated, this is the squad that stands to gain the most. 07 were in 4th coming into the game. 3rd's now been taken out. Every kill point, every fight, every placement matters for 07, and they are the only team now in checkpoint since they have, of course, eliminated the competition. FUL no longer part of this one. With Killer Whales, ONIC, and EVOS gone, it leaves us with 16 squads left. SJP2 now eyeing their prey as Take Flight right ahead could be the next up on the chopping block if SJP2 don't get pinched on a rotate.
Yeah, with the zone slowly closing in, as well ZiPLina Mafia trying to reset with that knowledge, but it's gonna be very hard as he's getting chased down by nobody else than cybercats right now. I would like to say though, I hope that the teams that are coming in from checkpoint side do play that side from the choke, because we tend to see a lot of teams opting to go more towards down beast. A lot of the time, actually, you're kind of safe playing from this choke in checkpoint as well. And then there's also evac spots and stuff like that to get over the wall. I like to call that a very adaptable spot. So I hope to see that's the way they play, because even though you have the, what should I say, the foot on the pedal, loving to take fights and you are winning these 3v3s, sometimes knowing when to play fast and also sometimes knowing when to slow it down a little bit is very important, because like you said, every single point matters right now because they are inching up towards that top 3 right now.
And really saw that matter down towards the south with Killer Whales. Knowing for them how to go instead of from fast to slow, from slow to fast. Cybercats were playing extremely slow in their first day. It worked out well for them. Now they've dialed up the speed. They're looking for kills in much the same way as 07 are as we return to checkpoint. Unfortunately, with Adams down, FaZe have taken a chunk out of 07, and FaZe are desperate for points as well. In a very different story to 07. They're not fighting for the win. FaZe are fighting to come back.
Yeah, most definitely. I think that they're happy though because they actually got out on one side each. This should opt for a reset from either person, hopefully, as all of them are now currently chasing one of them up north towards that rest beacon. They're looking for him, but they don't know if they want to go or not. Let's just wait for the next zone and then see where we'll head, because they're most likely going to play from checkpoint side, I hope, here.
And just for a little bit of clarity, FaZe placed in their first 2 match days 7th and 7th. Right now they are at 14th. They started this game at 15th. They have 24 points, and 8th right now sits at 35. So they've got a lot of points to make up, about 10, until they can at least get back to 7th. The Cybercats doing pretty well again, pulling out the claws, or continuing to sharpen them on the rest of the lobby. Have found yet another knock, this time onto UAIM. They're not pushing their luck too much as right now setting up defensively in mill. We've also got a console here to spy where the next ring is going, pulling us further and further into downed beast, where I must mention that Roadhouse currently sit.
It's gonna be scary indeed. But one thing I would like to say is cybercats, as we've seen before, was a placement heavy team with not that many kills. Now it's kind of on the opposite side of the things, where they're looking for fights a lot more. Do you think being able to play both is good? Because there are some games where you can't play your usual playstyle, correct? But so far we haven't seen too many points out of them. But we also know one game, one huge big game is all it takes for them to flip the leaderboard, so it could happen.
Certainly true. UAIM, however, not going to get that chance. A tough exit for a squad that has otherwise been performing quite well during the course of at least the first round robin. Seems like the second round robin not off to as kind a start, as UAIM currently sits 6th. Will likely drop a few places before this game is done. 07 get their respawn, however. Still a fighting chance to claw their way up to 3rd and perhaps beyond. Will Roadhouse play defense? The champions so far, we'll see how far they make it.
And champions right there. Team that is currently sitting in top 4, 07, gets the reset. He will also make it through the choke pretty safely, so they should be fine. But they're also running into about 3-4 teams right there. As he's getting charge rifle behind. He made it through. He lives there.
That's crazy. Oh, and Kashara does. That's unfortunate. I guess you can't have everything. There's still a chance to pick him back up, though, as Nasky does go a little crazy with the PK. Quick ult to buy more time. Maybe to pick up Kashara. Maybe to leave. I think Nasky himself is still deciding. Ultimately going to sit down here, even inside the barrage from Gibraltar. play the knockdown shield and move a little further forward. Nasky is in zone, but can 07 survive? SJP2 have been taken out and take Flyte. Really want to finish these kills. ONIC looks for the angles, but I don't think he knows that Nasky is here. Nasky may be able to reset.
I mean, this is scary. He should not. I think if they just stayed there, potentially, it could have happened. Now they got scared that they maybe got ratted on, not knowing that it's one poor little guy. And as they all dive down on Nasty, looking to finish 07, and they indeed get eliminated. Still should be happy with their day, though. Not bad by any means. Could probably find something to improve on, but should be happy with that consistency.
And FaZe will fall at the same time. Nom go down as well. 10 squads left. And we have eliminated our 3rd place, our 4th place, our 5th place, our 6th place team. No, our 6th place team is actually still in here. Passion are still up. And Empire, maybe helping take a few more out as Take Flyte have already fallen. RE45 at close range in a bubble fight. Not as good as the Peacekeeper. And Empire making good use of that. You ultimately end up going down, being shot in the back as the Gibby bubbles expire. Roadhouse help collect some of those kills, certainly put in the damage. It's Aku gets at least one with the 30-30. And that's 1 kill on the board for Roadhouse, who already led the pack.
I mean, that's exactly what we talked about earlier. If you fight there, you have to have your bag safe, either by a Gibby bubble, either by any sort of utility. It could be a catwalk, could be Gibby bubble, could be anything, because otherwise you're gonna get sniped in the back. And when you get sniped by what we hear is a Piercer, Peter, a Charge Rifle, and a Scout, there's not much you can react to. You would immediately fall down. Alliance sitting right next to their opponents, fighting for the top right now. You said it before, the 2 Titans are currently fighting to see who finishes up top here after this last game.
And we're going to pull another one of these. The Trident Bubble Rotate is coming out of Alliance, and it should take them almost directly into Roadhouse. Yes, indeed it does. No bubble now has Alliance positioned as a next-door neighbor to Roadhouse. A chance to take out your competition is here for both squads, but Roadhouse extend, looking for a few more kills, while Alliance instead laser-focused on Roadhouse to force them back inside the building.
They got that slope, and playing outside right by the walls is actually a really good spot because you also saw them right there. The other team tried to ZiPLina out of there. That means Alliance has their backs cleared right now. They just need to hold this down and then potentially walk up with the wall to see if they can find anything playable. But they have to play small for the moment. They're looking to see if they can force a fight potentially in the building, because in the building they shouldn't get thirded. Legion Gaming, however, lurking right next doors in that small building as well.
Yeah, if you're going to take this fight, you have to take it fast. Currently, 6 points separate these teams, and oh my lord, with the nade being enough, Alliance escort Aku from the lobby. That's 1 member of Roadhouse down. Can they survive the now incessant push from Alliance, who will not give up? Even with the Maggie drill in their face, Alliance are looking for more kills. If they take Roadhouse out here, surely they can grab first place.
Rough moment for Roadhouse right there as he gets sky-naded, and that puts his momentum straight out the door. Immediately gets thirsted, and Alliance is now in a 3v2 if they want to take this fight to Blast and Lufka in the door or in the building. However, they should just look for the next play. They have that rock in front of them that he could potentially play for a little bit. However, top down beach right now looking to poke them as well, so they're opting for that 3v2 inside the indoors instead.
Bubble is good. Like you said, Alliance know their safety does lie in here. With the Knuckle Cluster grabbing a knock on Blast, this should be the end of the road for Roadhouse. Alliance have 3 members left, and a Maggie drill poses no issues. That is yet another kill going Alliance's way. And while Roadhouse are still technically alive, it is a solo playing his life for as long as he can. Out go Alliance with the Trident Bubble and a boost into zone. A zone that is pulling us just to the south of Downed Beast. Will this Trident be enough cover, as the bubble will expire soon? Ult from Gibby buys them a little bit more time. Stinger Bolt, however, finds a couple of knocks, and Alliance lose 1, but Roadhouse go down. Alliance still alive. This is a game of points, and with Alliance going down, I do not know if they managed to get enough points to top Roadhouse. We'll have to find out towards the end of the game, as right now it is a cybercats story. They've run the south side of the map so far, but having lost 1, it could be the end of the road for them as well. Wrenches is running for the cover of the Trident, and Cybercat's journey has been cut short, getting walled out by Legion. Cybercats do grab one more KP. Maybe make it another. Wrenches could clutch this. He gets the second KP. Grabs the second KP. Every point matters for Cybercats. They've moved up to 14th now. How much further can they make it? Blooming Flower sitting behind the wall, playing safe. Wrenches has got 3 different shield swaps in here available to him. The Citadel Gaming may very well cover for Wrenches.
He is getting covered indeed as SPS pushes and eliminates Legion Gaming right there. Ranch is very happy with that. Managed to get a couple extra points on the board. After pinching Alliance, they actually got mirrored and then had to got forced to move down, coming down to a solo rat now for Cybercats. However, the zone is ending on the rat. If he can survive somehow by Citadel Gaming holding out SPS, we're looking at a potential top 2 if he's really lucky, but most likely top 3. We'll have to see now as Endorse is starting to move out. If they can find Ranches, SPS right now get absolutely demolished as Cybercats managed to get into top 3 as a solo with a bunch of KP, might you add. He's now getting naded out. Ooh, and he survives.
Hitting for 50 flesh. Endorse still don't push this, and Wrenches chooses to save the ult. He's made it into top 3. Has clawed Cybercats' way into 15th place overall. How much further can you make it? You want a top 10, but it may not be your decision. Remember, Endorse, they've still got a gimme to just bubble at you and end your life, and that may very well be their decision. It'll be a matter of cooldowns now as 3 different nades, 4 different nades connect onto Endorse, and Phoenix goes down. That is a knock by Ranches. Maybe another kill going over to the Cybercats as Ranches is playing the hero for all of Cybercats right now.
Ranches is the hero we've known all along. He's so
gets another
now, getting knocks and forcing utils. Can he make it into top 2 as he's currently in a 1v2, trying to force the knockdown shields off of them, praying that the team above doesn't just fall down on him. Can he get the top 2?
Citadel want this win, but Wrenches has the shield swaps, hits 1. Citadel will have to drop down soon. Who will they choose? Ranches is playing slow, playing silent. He's got the Trident. Out goes the EMP. Ranches will hit the bat just in time to get back to full, but Endorse want to end this now. Pushing forward, it is about their bubble timing. Endorse will have this up soon. Catwall for Citadel. Leave Cybercats isolated. Endorse finish the fight, and Citadel have to swing through. Citadel, who want this win, will rip it out of the hands of Endorse as they drop down from Downed Beast and claim the winning Game 6.
Nice double Mossy peek through the wall right there. Did huge amount of damage after they dropped down below to clean up that game. Very good play from them. We actually didn't see too much of the POV from Citadel Gaming. That did not take away from the fact that we saw them bully so many people in that lobby from on top of that down beast. They were shooting at everybody.
Yeah, that was just a really good position for them, and I like that they held on to it for as long as possible. I think you see a lot of teams tempted to go down there and just finish fights themselves, but they let the lobby play out and glitter. It ended up looking really clean for the win on Citadel, and I'll admit, I was living the Cybercats dream for a second there.
I think I was too. I mean, he was utilizing everything in the boxes that he could find, grabbed every single nade, was ready for the shield swaps. I mean, talk about one of the most obnoxious rats that you could possibly have in that situation. And they net 13 kills because of it. But at the end of the day, it was Citadel Gaming, that high ground advantage, who close out match number 6. I mean, that was just a really fun way to end the day, Graceful.
Citadel needed the points to push themselves further up the leaderboards. Again, every day matters, but my real focus was Alliance and Roadhouse, and Alliance, by 3 points, did not take Roadhouse out of first place, and that has got to sting, knowing that you took out 2 members of Roadhouse, didn't quite finish that last kill, and got taken out a little early. Also, big surprise to me, EVOS, despite being eliminated in literally 20th place, don't drop a single spot.
Completely honestly, crazy. Overall, top of the leaderboard has been so, like, outside of the top 2, let's be honest, those guys were titans today, but the rest of them, it's been going up and down from phenomenal gameplay from game to game from different teams. But as you said, EVOS got overall eliminated very early, still remains top 3, whereas, as Lauren liked to say, on the podium. I like that a lot.
I mean, you also 7 there in 4th, you had even shouted them out, Graceful, saying, you know, they still had a really good day. even if that last match maybe wasn't what they were hoping for. Really consistent, only 1 point behind EVOS there. So on a very solid top 4 for our series results, as we get to take a look now to what that means for our overall standings. And with that finish, Alliance will be in first place, 10 points above, 61 points in total for Alliance. And you can see which teams still need to get another series played in order to keep themselves even with everybody else. Notably, you've got Go Next up there, only at 2. NVMI only at 2, and still finding themselves in the top 10 here, Dia.
Yeah, Go Next have to be the team that you're looking at, because if they've only played 2 series and they're still top 5 in the league when everybody else around them has played 3 series, yeah, that's the squad that you are looking to overtake. And we'll have the opportunity to in the next 2 days, as we'll be completing our next round robin, especially tomorrow, marking the halfway point throughout the split is very, very exciting news, especially for the teams that will get to play again.
That's why we keep saying that these double header weekends really progress these storylines quite quickly. So it'll be interesting to see how tomorrow goes for those teams. But let's give a little bit of love here to an individual, okay? Because after today, I'm actually very interested to see how this all shook out. It's time for our Sony in-zone kill leader race. I want to see who ended up at the top of our leaderboard, because we saw a lot of really strong individual gameplay, and it is after Roadhouse's pop-off performance. We have Aku at the top with 15 kills, but Nasky with 15 tying that. I mean, a little sleeper situation. That is impressive. And we're doing the tiebreaker off of Nox. Aku had 23, Nasky had 20. I mean, graceful. It doesn't get any closer than that.
It does not, but we saw that level of play from Aku throughout the entire day, you know, from that god spot on the world's edges when he was just phenomenal on right, exactly what I'm talking about, right here on that raid, making so much impact, getting those initial downs, and even when he gets caught off guard later on, he still managed to turn the table on the opposing enemy, and he's just been shooting so well today, and I'm so happy to see that team in general being synergized to that extent that they have been, because I always see this, the same basic fundamental always applies to him. He's the entry frag, he goes back out and he goes back in with the team and he cleans up the fight. Huge play, but we cannot also not talk about Blast and Lufka pulling their weight as well really hard. Also on the leaderboard, maybe not at number 1, but sitting very comfortably up there. And as you said as well, with the, you know, Nasky being on second, it's also somebody we have to think about a little bit as, you know, very well performance overall. They might not have gotten, you know, first place as Roadhouse did, but still solid performance.
Yeah, honestly, the more we kind of get to see these individualized stats, Dia, the more impressed I am with just so many different performances throughout the day.
Yeah, this was fantastic out of Aku, and again, really curious about this Gibby pivot, because ultimately, well, Storm Point was not as stellar of a map for them individually. Aku still crushed throughout the day, and the role changes a lot when you're going from something like Alter and Wraith to something like Gibraltar once you transition maps. And this team seems to have a very fluid identity. The fact that they were able to go back-to-back wins, but on different maps, speaks a lot to their flexibility, and Aku is a big part of that.
Yeah, and we have highlighted how important that flexibility is ever since the implementation of these legend bans, and how players need to really be able to flex into a lot of different legends, sometimes different roles depending on the map. There's so many different variables that they have to think of now in comparison to old school ALGS. But now it is time for us to hear from the winners directly themselves, because I believe we've got Aku standing by ready to chat with us after the win. So Aku, first of all, congratulations. What an insane performance from you guys here today. I kind of want to get your thoughts on that, because you went from 9th on match day 1, then 5th, now to winning the whole day in an absolutely dominant fashion. So what went right for you guys today?
Hello, yeah, thank you first. And yeah, I think like from the first day, like with the first product we played, we got 9th, and it was like Lufka's first time IGLing really much. So, and we still did a lot of things right, but a lot of things went bad for us as well. And we're just a brand new team that like played together. So the synergy was like at the start a bit struggling. But from time to time, it always went better in scrims, and we saw the results in Pro League as well. That it always like went better and better, as we saw like 9th, 5th, and now we've won. So shout out to my teammates. They're playing very good.
I mean, you guys did play some very impressive Apex Legends today. I need to ask, and I may have a misconception about Game 4. In Game 4, your first game on Stormpoint, you didn't have Beacon, right? You didn't get a ring console.
Yeah, no, we didn't have Beacon. Like, yeah.
You're changing compositions. I was pointing this out. You don't have a rotational legend, right? You're not running Wraith. You're transitioning to Gibraltar. So how did you end up playing such a great game in Game 4 without having ring console information and with no portals?
Okay, so we went to Mill and we saw ring 1, and it was like very like you could have seen on the ring 1 that it could be a barrow zone. So we decided to like drive toward the nut, like before barrow. And we saw like 2 teams or 3 teams landing into barrow, and then it was like sure already, okay, it's gonna be a barrow zone. So we worked our way in from the nut into barrow. We took a free spot, and yeah, the rest we saw.
Really good moving from power spot to power spot, and sometimes you don't even need the beacon knowledge because, as you said, you saw several teams there. Someone's gonna pull there. Let's just play accordingly. But one thing I want to touch on, Aku, is that we have seen you. Well, I saw you specifically. We saw a lot of POV from you today. When you played Rave specifically, the entry fragger, and also on Alter, you look very comfortable doing that. And now when we saw you on Gibby, it's not your fault that you didn't get a lot of kills, because that's Gibby's job, is not to get the kills. You're not the entry fragger at that point, unless it comes down to a straight bubble fight. Do you feel a lot more comfortable on characters that have the role of entry fragging? And is that something you guys are going to look into? Because when we got to see your POV, at least, you were doing such a good job on Wraith, getting that cracker even down, queuing out, and then your team went for the triple swing. And seeing that success over and over again, like right here as we see on the clip, is something I think is really fun to see and really good, well played from you. And I was just wondering if you guys have any thoughts about that, or are you guys going to keep to the same thing that you guys have right now, where you only play maybe frontliner on World's Edge? Is it tied to World's Edge, or is it time to Legend bans? Is my question then.
It is really much up to Legend bans. Like overall, it's not really map dependent if I'm being the entry frag or not. But like overall, like I'm having a lot of fun playing Wraith, and to be honest, my job is just to go in, do damage, then queue a bit out so my teammates can both refrag, and I think we did a great job with that today. So I think we're gonna like stick with what we have right now.
Nice, I like that a ton.
Now, Aku, I want to ask one more quick question before we let you go, because we talked about it a lot during the cast today. There were so many moments where you guys just looked so confident. Like anytime you would potentially get pushed by someone who might be panicking, you would guys just kind of would look at them and be like, so is that the choice you're really making? We're going to let you do. Okay. And you just looked so unflappable the whole time. And you're saying that, yeah, sure, you're a new roster, but after today, you're not playing like a new roster together. So how did you nail down that synergy in such a short amount of time?
Well, we've just done so many VOD reviews and played so many double blocker scrims every day together, and like pointed everything out that we saw that was wrong for us. So we like kind of like figured out like pretty quickly how to like play very well together. And I think that both my teammates are doing an insane job. Like I think like both of them are really, really good. And I don't know really what we did that we got to win it. Like I know we just played good, but to have like that synergy, I don't really know what we did. We just played a lot together. And like we somehow figured out how to play together. Like we did a lot of VOD review and just scrimmed a lot and played rank.
Well, it absolutely worked. You guys looked incredible today. So congratulations one more time on the win. And I'm sure we'll be speaking to you in the future.
Thank you for having me. Jeez.
Literally, I don't think he could have tied in your storyline any more perfectly, saying that all of that synergy is due to the VOD review. All down to the VOD review, figuring out how they worked as a team. Like, did you put that idea in his head? Do you give me your final thoughts on the day? I mean, that was a lot of fun.
I will not be PayPaling him later, but I think we can work something out. I do think that the point that he raised, though, about VOD reviewing, about constantly practicing, and especially the way that Roadhouse have improved very, I don't want to say linearly, but it almost is linear. 9th, 5th, 1st is almost equivalent jumps every day. And the fact that they were able to do that is really starting to highlight the teams that are able to adapt as the match days go on and are able to, even against the same groups on different maps, learn who's around them and how to work best within each other, and should ultimately lead them to success in the regional finals and perhaps beyond. So I'd say keep your eyes on Roadhouse, because given their performance today, it's clear that they still have things to improve on, and they're going to be going back to VOD review. But if we're looking at them now in first place and going, yeah, well, your ceiling is clearly higher, that's a very good thing.
Absolutely. Graceful, your favorite things from today, big takeaways, thoughts?
I think that seeing how teams are playing very proactively, very early on, especially tied around chokes with teams like, you know, we saw Alliance and then we saw Empire do very well. All of these teams are showcasing their abilities to, I feel like we've almost gotten to a point where, like, have we ever said that somebody has bad macro in the longest time now? I feel like the level of these teams in this tournament is just so high. And with the ever-changing stuff of, like, sometimes you don't get to see it because you get 2-tapped by Peter. But typically, all of these teams are just evolving. And as he said as well, I think the best way for you at home to evolve, maybe not do double block of scrims into VOD review, but maybe a little bit of rank session into a little bit of VOD review. You know, before you, when you're snacking a little bit, you watch, hey, what could I have done better a little bit? And that's how you improve. And seeing all of them say, sometimes it just clicked. We've been practicing, it just clicked, and that could happen to anybody. So yeah, I mean, I'm happy to see that they're putting in the time and effort and they're getting rewarded by it, because sometimes, you know, if you put in so much time and effort and you don't really get to see the results you want, it could be discouraging. But when you see it happen, it's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely. And we also appreciate both of your time and effort here today. Fantastic job casting our games as always. We're going to say goodbye to you for now, give you a little bit of break before we get into more action, because we're not done for the day. Okay, EMEA might be wrapped up, but we still have America's Match Day 4 coming up right around the corner. 11 p.m. BST, 6 p.m. ET, or 3 p.m. PT will be when we are starting our next series. So make sure you tune back in just a little bit to see how our next region fares. As always, if you're not able to make that, or if you missed anything here today, follow us on social media. That way you won't miss anything. @PlayApex Esports on X and YouTube. Don't forget our two newest socials, @PlayApex Esports on TikTok and Instagram. And of course, hanging out with us here at PlayApex live on Twitch. That way you won't miss a single second of anything that we've got going on here in the ALGS. For now, enjoy the break, relax, maybe hydrate a little bit, and we'll see you back here for more ALGS action in just a bit.